one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to make mention of the emergency exits. One to my left marked exit and the main entrance as you had entered. Do we have a motion to open up the workshop meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Everybody in favor? Aye. First on the agenda is the project supply gravel lot. Who do we have representing this application this
Avi
evening?
Weinberg Lim Engineering.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Maybe just pull up the plan, Terry. Thanks. We were here in front of you guys to introduce the project. It's essentially an existing gravel area that the site next door, which is a building material and paving company, he just wants to use it as an overflow area. He's bursting by the seams and just needs some additional space. So last time we were here, there were various sorts of comments, about the survey and items like that. We have since ordered a new survey. It's shown on our site plan. We've clarified some items. So just as soon as it's up, I'll walk through, just we're proposing and I might preemptively address some comments, Dave, but then, maybe we could go through them. Should be something from July. Probably the layout sealed. Yeah. There we go. So as you can see, that existing gravel area, there was some maybe clarifications the board was seeking about the easement, all the easements on this lot, especially in how it relates to the fire department. That has been resolved. He's proposing, to store his hardscaping materials there. Minimal traffic here in and out. No employees, no customers, no restrooms or any of the, sort of facilities. This is strictly storage of material. Minimal going back and forth. I know, Paul, you did mention last time about a bridge. We did look into that a little. It does seem a bit complicated at this point just because of the floodway. We're talking about, I think that floodway is approximately 34 feet wide, and to meet all FEMA requirements would not be simple. I can't say I'd write it off. I know I'd obviously have to come back to this board, but I advise the client, don't do that. If you really need the space now, just occupy it. It's not, it's too complicated. It might be too costly to make a bridge like that. We are proposing some screening on both sides, along the fire department and along the 17th frontage. So, that'll definitely enhance the look. I do know one of your comments about the concrete barriers not being 24 feet. So we'll remove them. We're just going to remove them, and the landscaping will be 24 feet away. We're proposing putting some sort of like emergency access gate at the front to keep vehicles and people like that from entering and exiting the site. I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's just to formally, request or to formalize a use that's going on next door to extend to here. Okay.
May I ask what kind of material? Is it strictly going to be like gravel and mulch and?
Yeah, maybe like
No
retaining
salt?
wall blocks.
No salt?
No, I don't think salt. No, like retaining wall blocks or Belgian blocks,
Okay,
things like that. I don't even know if they're gonna have gravel and stone. I think it might more be the blocks
okay.
and items like that, but definitely not salt. Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but I don't think he doesn't do salting.
Okay.
He does construction. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
these items, sorry, Gary.
No, go ahead.
These items as well, now basically, if someone, they're to be purchased, right, and then taken away.
Yeah.
So they're not necessarily going from the existing project supply to that storage, back and forth? Because that's kind of why I suggested or asked about the bridge.
Right.
You go up on the 17 and back and forth.
So it's going to be minimal. It's really for overflow. It's not that people come and purchase it. So
And they're just going to the
yeah,
site.
to wherever it's going to. But yeah, it could very well be just going to go straight from there to the site.
Right.
But I don't think it's going to be trucks going back and forth. And he wasn't opposed to that, but he was really bursting by the seams. And I think, we know, someone who's very familiar with FEMA regulations and what it would take to span a floodway like that. It wasn't so simple on the outset, and to come up with a bridge design that would work, we just felt, again, if I would come back, we'd obviously, send it a new application, and I'll demonstrate how we're gonna meet all requirements. Actually, you bring up the issue about the floodway. I was not clear, but Dave clarified to me, this does need a flood development permit. We'll prepare the application. As this is in the flood zone, the flood plain, the FEMA 100-year flood plain, a little material is not going to impact, I can guarantee that, is not going to impact, it's not in the floodway. Floodways, when you obstruct the floodway, you could potentially have impacts on the surrounding areas. Floodplain, that will not impact. Stacking some materials within the floodplain is not going to have any impact on the 100-year flood. Just want to put that out there.
Why would, if this is for the overflow, so if a contractor's coming up to pick block or stone, wouldn't they go to the main depot there?
I don't think contractors pick it up. Sorry, I should have clarified. I don't think contractors pick up. I think he has a site work company. Like, I'm working on a lot of projects with him where he is the site contractor. And,
Okay.
Projects like office buildings or any other projects that would come in front of this board.
Right.
And he keeps his materials. This is not like he's not a supplier. Maybe I should have clarified that. He himself is a site contractor and he keeps his material in-house. So it would be his staff and his trucks taking the material from there. I don't believe he's open to the public.
Okay, so he won't be taking it from the main yard, he's gonna come here and take it.
Well, I think he might take it from here to the main yard.
Okay, that's what I want to clarify, because if you're gonna have them come, the contractor that
Right.
this gentleman is, come there and pick it up there, you're gonna have a lot more in and out traffic.
Right. No, so this is to move it to the main yard.
Okay, so
his
this is
overflow.
just, definitely, we're gonna clarify, this is just for holding, no pickup or
Yes.
anything like that, and the pickup will be from the main yard.
Absolutely.
Okay. The only thing that I'm a little leery about is it's 17M and there's gonna be tractor trailers maybe,
I don't believe it's going to be tractor trailers.
because
I
they're
think-
gonna have to back in. What kind of trucks is gonna be? I can imagine tractor trailers, I can imagine possibly, some type of, high-low that's gonna have to be there to take block off trucks, and, so how are they gonna get it off the
I
trucks?
don't think it's going to be tractor trailers. I could definitely clarify that and get back to you. If, let's say you want to make a restriction, I think that would be okay too. No tractor trailers in there.
Right.
I think it would be okay with that. I will I could definitely clarify that. I think this is strictly as a holding place.
How are things being delivered right now?
What was that?
How are things being delivered now, if not by tractor trailer?
It could be on the main site, there are. That I don't know, but if you're concerned about tractor trailers coming from some third-party supplier coming
Well,
to
we
the
just wanna
site,
know when he puts the overflow there.
Right.
Is he putting it there, or is?
I believe he is. He is, that would be the
So he's gonna
idea.
do it himself?
Himself.
It's not gonna be ABC contractor?
No, I think he
of
wants to
material.
contain that, whereas he's got his main site, his offices are on that site.
Okay.
So he definitely wants all that, I think, going through the, I don't think he
Right.
wants this open to the public. He wants just, as an overflow for his storage.
Yeah, because
Inventory.
Will you have dump trucks coming over and dumping stuff there
No.
directly?
No. Again, I'm also, I don't believe it's gonna be gravel or anything. I think it's mostly gonna be blocks and
Okay,
items
so
like that.
we're gonna flat that at least, and that's gonna be, it's gonna be a tractor trailer.
Right.
I don't think it's gonna be one of the big ones.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to, the board, I think, needs to know that. Your neighbor across the street, the auto parts store, we were always worried about tractor trailers there. Thank goodness that they come in early in the morning. They do block 17M. But
Right.
that's just to get the tractor trail. Once it's on site, then they don't have any traffic problems.
Right, no, I
So-
understand that.
We need to know how the operation is gonna work, is basically what kind of trucks, delivery times, or, is he gonna just, like, anytime during the day, just go there and pick up material and bring it to the main site? So,
Yeah,
we need to know those details.
right,
I think that's important.
understood.
Okay.
Can I request, I think usually the next step would be, you guys probably do need a public hearing.
Well, we need to have our engineer go over his,
Sure.
so let's just, waiting for our engineer to
Absolutely.
give him his turn.
Okay. The project narrative has been provided by the applicant. The applicant seeks to utilize the existing gravel area for storage of equipment and materials only, and in connection with their facility located adjacent to the project site. No retail sales, customer activity, or employees are proposed at this location. According to the submitted EAF, the property may contain regulated wetlands, as no disturbance to the site is proposed, and the only request is to place equipment and materials on the existing gravel surface. There is no requirement to delineate and show the limits of regulated wetlands. Based upon a review of historical aerial imagery, it appears that the gravel has been on property for at least the last 10 years. A note shall be added to the plan stating that equipment and materials shall not be stored outside of the designated gravel area and that no disturbance to the site is permitted without approval by the village planning board. According to the submitted EAF, portions of the property are within the 100-year floodplain. The site map provides the location of the floodway and floodplain. Any construction or development within any areas of special flood hazard would be subject to a floodplain development permit as outlined in Section 107 of the Village Code. Section 107-4 definitions states that development includes the storage of equipment or materials. A floodplain development permit will be required as stated in Section 107-11. Okay, and that's what Avi was referring to. Okay. Number 4, as the project is located within 500 feet of a state highway, referral to the Orange County Department of Planning is required per GML 239. 5, applicant should advise if any fencing will be provided to secure the storage area. In addition to site security, fencing may also delineate the extent of the storage area and prevent the expansion of the storage area outside of the existing gravel area. Number 6, the plan should depict the zoning district boundaries of lots in the area of the site. Several adjacent properties are zoned SR10 and URM. Number 7, Section 122-19F, design requirements, requires a minimum of 24 feet access aisle width for 90-degree parking. The location of existing concrete barriers results in an access aisle width of only 20 plus or minus feet for several of the parking spaces serving the Mombasa Fire District. Concrete barriers should be relocated to provide the minimum 24-foot width. And again, Avi was indicating that those
No, we're gonna
barriers
remove
would be
those.
relocated.
The screening is fine.
Number 8, landscaping consisting of 10 green giant arborvitae are proposed along 2 sides of the existing gravel area. Planning board should review adequacy of proposed screening. And I guess this kind of also goes back to the prior comment, Avi, about the fencing.
Yeah.
You know, again, you know, if there's going to be fencing along with along with landscaping,
Right.
you know, then you know, that should be presented so the board can, I guess, see.
So what he's
With the screening.
proposing is to have like one of those emergency access gates to prevent cars from going in and screening along the sides. That's what he's proposing.
Okay.
I guess that's one question I can ask the board, if the board wants to debate this now or give some sort of answer about the screening. No, just got, you know, in the past I've gotten these comments where, you know, the board should review the adequacy. So I guess if anyone has any objection to that, I'd probably want to know that now, if anyone has.
You're gonna just do normal arborvitae's? They
Yeah,
go about
I
maybe
think we have the green giants. 8 to
how-
10 foot.
8 to 10
Yeah.
foot, yeah.
Yeah.
How does the board feel about that?
Arborvitae's are, pardon my ignorance, but what are they exactly?
They're green,
These evergreens.
they grow from the bottom up. It's not like a
Christmas
pine.
tree looking.
Yeah, it's got the
It's
green.
evergreen.
It's an evergreen.
The only thing I know is deer love to eat it.
Yeah.
But not the green giant. I have those,
Okay.
and they let
Yeah.
them alone, so that they're
Yeah.
That's what
actually
we're
very
thinking?
deer resistant.
About 10 feet, maybe.
Oh, no, they go high.
Well,
I
these
know.
are from 8 to
Oh,
10.
what time, you're gonna.
And the
put it
one
in
we
10 foot?
proposed, I could be more specific, the one we have that we put on our plans, are typically 8 to 10 foot, I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah. So if everybody's satisfied with that.
8 to 10 feet, is that gonna be sufficient?
Well, they grow pretty quick.
I get higher, I don't think, you know.
And how high are they planning to stack everything? Are they gonna have, racking in there to store stuff?
I don't believe so, I think this is just like, you know, stacked on top of each other.
Probably on pallets, maybe?
Yeah, it depends what size, you know, what the material is.
Right.
How tall are the piles right now?
How tall?
Are the piles right now?
I mean, when I was at the site, probably close to 2 years ago, I mean, they have these huge piles of mulch and all that could be like 30 feet high. I remember my 3-year-old son was running up them and all that. I was out in the middle of the snow. I don't think they're gonna have that. And to go ahead, the question is it need to be higher than everything or just enough that it, you know, neatens up the look from the street?
Yeah, I think the board is worried about it's gonna overtake the
Yeah.
plant, the vegetation, and you're gonna see it anyway.
So what I would
Make sure how high it's
suggest,
gonna go.
I'm gonna look for a higher
And then there's
species.
danger going too high for collapsing.
Yeah,
It's gravel,
right.
so you gotta be careful on the height of what they're gonna store there.
Yeah.
Because that's only gravel, it's not, you know, concrete or asphalt.
And I would suggest just double checking with the owner, because I believe the lot that he has adjacent to this, he has equipment and materials being stored. but they're located behind fencing.
Right.
So, you know, again, I guess there's two things. You don't want to have, I would imagine he doesn't want to have material that somebody can come up and take, or teenagers to come and play on
Yeah.
the equipment,
Right.
play on, you know, decide to climb the mountain of blocks that you have there, et cetera.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because there's no way to stop them from coming in. Anybody can walk into the site,
Right.
so.
Right. Understood.
Yeah, and I would assume that they're gonna keep the mulch right where it's at, keep the snow right where it's at, it's already.
Yeah, that's
you know,
us piled, and also the further up it goes, the more
Sounds
out
like
it goes
it's gonna be
too.
block and maybe
This,
some of
he
that
told me block.
Tubing, you know, so to speak, that they're.
Yeah,
gonna
more things like that. I don't think they're putting in an official racking system. I think there's just more of like the concrete blocks and items like that are just pretty stackable and you know, neat. And yeah, there's only so high he can make them in general.
Right.
So that's what he had indicated to me. I
Okay.
spoke
Well,
to.
and if it's not fenced in totally, you also have to think of the safety, because like
Mhm.
I said, kids coming off and
Right.
playing with
That's
this
right.
and then it collapsing.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, you might wanna look at that.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I know, I don't think they want a fence, right? They just want to keep it open.
Who, the client, you say?
The owner.
Yeah, no, he just proposed like that emergency access. I don't think he wants to fence the whole thing in. He proposed like, you know, those emergency access gates you see, you know, something to keep trucks from just coming in and out.
Yeah, but I think we're worried about kids coming in and,
That's understandable.
you know, the safety
Yep,
of it.
I will relay that to him.
Where is the emergency access gate going to be?
It would be if you pull up the plan. I didn't show it, but just, you know, based on the comments, I understand what he
It's right across from the campsite.
I go to the seal. There you go.
Oh, man, sure.
It would be,
You need a pointer?
no,
You sure?
it would be here, like, by the entrance.
Okay.
This is the entrance to the fire district, and it will be here off the fire, off the fire department's driveway.
Driveway.
Where the driveway is?
Yeah, it
Yep.
wouldn't block that, it would be off to the side.
It'll be outside of New York State DOT right away?
Yeah, absolutely. As you see, here's the right-of-way line.
Okay.
It would be somewhere around here.
Okay.
And then,
If he's not one now, why does he want another one?
I mean, right now, it's just empty, just,
Yeah.
it's gravel.
No, there's a lot of, today there are a lot of vehicles there, those bulldozers and things. There are a lot of them today.
You have to go to the lot to the right of that, though,
Yeah.
we're talking more to the right of.
More to the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, meaning,
firehouse
Right
parking lot.
next to the fire.
Yeah.
he owns everything here.
Right.
Yeah, right, yeah.
That, he's got a huge operation going, he's got
Yes.
a maintenance shop there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And that is fenced in, actually.
that's, yeah,
Correct.
we're talking about this area
That
here.
area there.
He's got excavators, he's got
He's got all
dump
sorts of
trucks,
stuff.
everything there, yeah, bulldozers.
Why
Right.
does he have a gate if he doesn't have any fencing?
No, just to prevent vehicles, so people shouldn't think they can drive in and out.
But won't they be able to go around?
No,
it?
because
What do you
here,
have there to keep them from
here
going?
are the trees,
Yeah.
and here are the trees.
Right.
Okay,
This would be blocked off, and there would just be an opening, and so no one should just think they could drive in and out.
okay.
He would put
An
a,
opening in front of the trees?
no, there's a row of trees here,
Yeah,
and a row of trees here.
yes.
And this is an opening,
Oh.
so he would put a fence, an access gate here,
Over there.
so no one could think they could just open it out.
And that's gonna be locked?
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be locked and again, controlled by him only and his, you know, his staff.
Okay,
and then the last comment I had was the public hearing is required for the special permit.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, the board have any other comments or questions? Everybody's good? So I guess what we'll have to do is we gotta do seeker, declare ourselves lead agency, do the referral to Orange County Department of Planning for their advisory comments. I guess set a date for the public hearing.
Right.
Should we
Yeah.
have all this wrapped up if we said this before? Or no?
Well, the only thing is the permit you need to get,
What, the flood permit?
flood permit.
Yeah, I mean, I'll fill out that application, it's not a big deal. What I would suggest is, you know, we go through the process, and in 2 weeks from now, I could even have a lot of these answers and even an updated narrative,
Right.
you know, for all this, so
So what we'll do is, well, if the board wants to, the next meeting, we could set the public hearing. It's up to you. you know,
Schedule it now or
No,
the
no,
next
no,
meeting's
no.
up? Oh, here.
we can't do it as a workshop, we'll do it at a regular meeting, if you want. If you want to wait, that's up to the board.
I would, if I could just make a request, considering that there's 2 weeks till the next workshop, and then it always takes another month after that, meaning 2 weeks till the official planning board meeting to
the regular
declare,
meeting.
right, the regular meeting, and then you have to wait another month. So it's not like, 8-page set of plans that you need to redo, and there's a lot of reports, like this is
Oh, it's up to
fairly
the board.
minimal.
It's how the board feels.
Yeah, I'm just requesting.
I don't know, they're pretty simple requests we have.
Well, we can't set the public hearing tonight.
Right, you would do it in 2 weeks from now.
Right.
Right, yeah, I just want to make sure you knew.
Right,
that.
yeah, no, so, but we're talking
Okay.
about between now and the public hearing,
Right,
approximately 6
Which means
weeks.
that it's, well, the public hearing is going to be in September,
Yeah, no, I understand that,
so,
right.
so it's up to the board if they want to do that.
You can probably do the next meeting. I mean, you can probably do the next meeting.
Yeah,
I would think so too.
all right. Yeah, because then we need, you need to get the circulation out of the mail.
Right,
We need to advertise it, so, okay, we can do
Yeah.
that.
really appreciate that.
The 239 review, I would assume we could do between now and the formal meeting, because otherwise, I don't know, for 30 days, if we wait until the formal meeting to do the 239, that may not be 30 days for the public hearing in September.
Right,
So I would presume that we, can do the 239 referral to the county to keep that process moving.
yeah, we normally do that anyway.
Right.
Yeah, so we can send it to the county. Well, we have to go online and
Yes.
put it into the county. So we'll go ahead and do seeker, lead agency, we'll move forward
At
on
the
that.
next meeting.
Yes.
Perfect.
That would be the 26th, Tuesday, August 26th?
Okay, I will not be there.
Okay.
Either the client,
25th, I'm sorry, 25th. Well,
Yeah.
you don't really need to be here, so it's up to you. I mean, you can come if you want.
oh, so I was actually going to ask that. I mean, if I submit this all by narrative, and the board could just do whatever, take
Whether
whatever
you
motion.
submit anything, there's
Right.
nothing to submit. We have to do lead agency and seeker
Right.
to move forward, to
Right.
get it started. So again, you can be here if you want on Monday night, or you can not be here. It's up to you.
Oh, no, that's good, because I'm out, so if I don't need to send someone from my office, then that actually would help
Oh.
me.
Trust us, we'll do it for you.
Really appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Ivan, you have anything you want to add to it?
No, I think we got it all.
Okay. All right, very good.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, have a good night.
You too, have a great
Take
night.
care. Next on the agenda is 208 Business Center, and we have, for the Business Center,
John Dahlgren from Tim Miller Associates.
John?
Yep.
And Sean,
Sean Peters from H2M.
our engineer. And Lincoln Tully has a conflict of interest, so Dave's going to recuse himself for this application. And if you want to proceed,
Okay,
sir?
sure. So I was here, I believe, a month ago and discussed the application for the final environmental impact statement, and that was submitted at the end of August, end of July, for review for completeness. And in the application, or the FEIS, we included a construction management plan. And that was the phasing plan that discusses how the construction for the building can coincide with the construction for off-site improvements, traffic improvements, which are required for the project to proceed. So the construction management plan is part of this application. I believe it was sent to the village's traffic consultant, Kimley Horn, John Canning, and we haven't seen any comments from Kimley Horn, but we did receive comments from H2M on some engineering issues. And I guess we'll hear those comments, but it sounds like H2M is recommending that the board take a close look at the construction management plan, and that's, I
Well, I
think
think it was
the
a-
most important part.
There was a lot more comments you had also. Sean, right?
So yes, we do have a few comments relating to the construction management plan. Largely, we defer to the village's traffic consultant on that.
Right.
I do have a few comments relating to that. The majority of the comments included in our memo are those for inclusion in the finding statement, but there is,
Right.
let's say, 5 to 7 comments, including a comment on a construction management plan that I can go through if you want me to.
Yes, please, if you want to. You don't have to go word for word.
Sure. I'll give you a summary.
Yeah, the summary is good.
Yep.
And has the board had a chance to look at that? The environmental impact form and the comments from, okay.
Is there anything else? Okay. So I'm gonna go through a few of the comments again. The comments that are italicized are for inclusion in the finding statement, so I'm gonna skip over those ones. The first one is relating to the construction management plan. The main takeaway here is that we do defer to your traffic consultant on this. I know you're still awaiting comments. There was a few things that we noted within the construction management plan. We'd like to see in a few instances in section 2 language that relates to review by the traffic and the village engineer as opposed to just the traffic or just the village engineer. So we made note of that. There was a typo relating to on-site versus off-site road improvements. And then we'd also like to see under section 3D3 an expansion of discussion relating to jurisdiction of different improvements, appropriate bonding, whether it's going to be village versus DOT, any mechanisms for that bonding, and just more discussion of those improvements subject to the DOT's review and approval. So that was relating to the construction management plan. We also had comments relating to a repeat comment relating to water supply per 10 state standards. The village currently does not meet the required demand with the largest well out of service. That's a repeat comment. We do meet the average day demand, but with the largest well out of service, you wouldn't meet that maximum day demand. The FEIS has acknowledged this and noted that the village is in the process of obtaining a new water supply, but doesn't speak to that any further. The next comment was in appendix or section D, and that relates to the stormwater design. We do note that there was additional soil testing provided, which was requested. We just ask that all of the soil testing be shown on the grading and utility plan. It appears that only the new test locations are shown, so we ask that everything is included. The other item that we noted with relating to that soil testing was that the stabilized rate was greater than 20 inches per hour. Appendix D of the design manual recommends that if testing yields results greater than 20 minutes per inch, then it's probable that the infiltration rate is insufficient to support those practices. The reason being is that sometimes when you have infiltration happening too quickly, you're not allowing for the practice to function the way that it's supposed to. That sediment and those contaminants are passing right through the media and into the groundwater. So our recommendation was that in this instance, this is not a typical thing that happens, but we'd ask that the applicant reach out to the DEC's regional office to see if the use of infiltration practices is appropriate here. Another comment relating to the stormwater design, there was inconsistencies with the type of storm check chambers that are proposed. The applicant has acknowledged that they will address that in the final FEIS. And then the last comment I wanted to mention was relating to the rock cuts that are proposed. We did receive some additional materials in the form of an email, which we asked that be included in the FEIS. That email speaks to one of the 2 areas that there's cut and fill for retaining walls. We do feel that it's sufficient for that portion, which is more northernly. But the other location along the western property line, we have not received any additional materials that were requested that'll demonstrate that there is the ability to have a rock cut there without a retaining wall. So that's something that we've asked for additional information on.
There's a lot of things still outstanding that I see. The board's been involved with this. I haven't been present for most of this, and I noticed in 2025 was the last time that it was in front of this board. So there's some time lapse there that we have. My question is, some of the things that I think there was a permit that 2 years ago or something that was, and is that still open, these permits, that,
A permit for what?
Well-
I'm also only somewhat familiar with the project.
Okay.
I'm filling in for Natalie. who's
I'm
on
just
maternity
worried about
leave.
it, and anything in the past that was done, is it still pending, or is it been settled?
Well, my understanding in terms of where we're in the secret process, this is the 5th review that we've done, our office has done for the FEIS. So until those comments are all sufficiently addressed, what you believe is sufficient and acceptable, then these continue to remain outstanding. And one of the discussions that I had with Natalie about this was also relating to the traffic, being that it's such a large portion of this project. So I think we'd also want the traffic engineer to be, happy with the response they received on the FEIS before, taking any next steps.
Yeah, and basically, I think, the village board had a turnover there also. I think this has to go back, it's my opinion, it's up to the board. This has to go back to the village board as far as this schedule for construction.
Well, has this been indefinite? I thought this was still up in the air. We wanted to see the plan before we even considered it. We wanted to see how they were gonna do this before we said yay or nay. I thought it was still up in the air.
Right.
And it's sounding like, it's sounding more and more like it's a thing, unless I'm unaware of something that happened.
And I'm also under the impression that nothing was going to be touched on a shovel in the ground until that circle, for lack of a better term,
It's
the gas
done.
station is done.
Right, and the work, what you're giving to us now is to maybe help us to maybe make that decision. We're still waffling on this.
Right, and I think it would be beneficial for the board to hear it from our traffic consultant. He couldn't make it tonight, that's Ken Worsted from Creighton Manning, and your traffic consultant, John Canning, who did review and worked out the details over, I think, 2 or 3 versions of the traffic construction management plan. So John Canning, your consultant, worked with our traffic engineer to come up with a plan that would make the construction of the building and the off-site construction simultaneous. And that has been kind of gone back and forth with several rounds.
How many years ago was that, 2024?
No, that was last fall.
Last fall?
In the summer,
That's
yes.
the first time they brought up doing it at the same time.
Right, yeah, I think that was, well, Mr. Kenning's here, he can answer for it, but I think that was a tentative project, and it was the first we heard of it. First we heard that maybe this might work
Right.
simultaneously.
Yes,
It
and
might work, but we didn't say, oh, well, okay, we agree with this plan.
exactly. So
It's still a discussion, so
Right.
it's certainly not something that's been agreed upon or rendered to our satisfaction, I don't think.
okay.
And from,
Unless there's something in the record you want to point to, Mr. Goldberg.
No. It was open to discussion, and I think where we left off last fall was a draft that needed work, and then we have resubmitted that.
well, from what I read, the original plan was modified maybe last year for all the other comments that the board had, from what I could read in all the notes here.
Yes.
So there's a new site plan now, and that, according to what the
Correct.
board was looking for.
Correct.
So did you go over that at all this year? Since last fall?
I don't believe we have.
So if I could refresh the board's understanding, is that there was a request to move the the loading dock from close to the
Correct.
YMCA to
I
the
read
center of the
that,
site.
to the center of the building.
And that was done over springtime into the summer. Kirk Rother was here and presented that. Last year.
Okay.
Last year. So that was 2025, when there was discussion about how trucks came in and out of the site.
Right.
And that the moving the loading area really benefited the YMCA by shifting it.
Because of noise and fumes.
right.
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 And
So
then,
that was a change in the plans.
and then they were gonna put a wall up there, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct,
And there was gonna be some blasting that had to be done,
correct.
okay?
Right.
But if they didn't have to blast, they were gonna still put the wall up in the soil, if I'm
Right.
not mistaken, from what I read.
The wall, it's supposed to be like a noise wall
Right,
for traffic and trucks.
correct.
That's going to be part of the plan.
Right.
Well, it's on the plans.
So I think we need to really grab this plan, this new plan, and we need to know if this is what we really want. I'm just trying to figure out where we go from here, because from what I've seen, this lapsed almost 2 years, until last year it came back. Let's put it this way, it's
Right.
been on the books since I was on the board in 2020.
Right.
So, and here it is, 2026, and here we are again. And
And-
we got to get this moving along. So
Sure.
what do we need to do as a board and as consultants to move this along and get this going and figure out what has to get done here and move forward?
Right. And as I understood,
Because there's a lot of confusion maybe.
sure.
And my concern is that you have a new mayor and 2 new board members. I think they need to be versed on this too. They may have a different opinion of the construction situation.
So I'd like to just address the plan itself. I
Okay,
think, and maybe your engineer can address that my feeling was that the actual site plan, what's going to be built, was thoroughly vetted by this board and by your consulting engineer. The comments that you provided tonight are kind of minor. I consider they need to be addressed, and we certainly will address, but they're not major engineering issues. I think we can address those. But the construction management plan, I think that was where we left off, that it was a major issue for the board to consider,
right.
the construction.
So if I may jump in and kind of follow up on this. So it's my understanding that the past board's strong opinion was that they wanted the work in the DOT right away to be completed prior to permitting the work on site, prior to allowing for a building permit to start work on site. That was their opinion, and that's something I think that is still ongoing and remains the largest outstanding item for completion of this FEIS is the coming together of the consultants, of your traffic consultant and the applicant's traffic consultant, and making sure that what the board is asking for is fulfilled, or is there another alternative to addressing that concern?
As far as the village board or the planning board?
This board,
This
yes,
board.
planning board.
Okay,
yes.
because I know the village board is involved with it too.
But this
So-
this comment comes.
So
from
what we
the
need to
planning.
do is we have to make sure we address this construction plan and are in favor of it. And I assume if we are, we should move it to the village board to get them involved. Am I wrong or am I right?
Yeah, but I just think it starts with making sure, that this board is in favor of it and that.
That's what I
yeah,
said.
Yeah. and
First here,
Yeah.
then there.
Yeah,
Out of courtesy for the new members of the village board, they may have a different opinion. So once we settle it here, then we can move it forward to the village board. So basically, the plan itself is everybody was okay with the updated plan, with the moving of the dock
Yeah,
to
that was
the
actually
center?
a good idea what they had done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's some things in here too, like on page 3, that I think are important. But I think we need to get our traffic consultants together on both sides.
Can we have both traffic consultants at the same time, so we
Sure.
know they're both on the same page?
Sure.
That would make me feel comfortable. If
Right.
I knew
That's what,
ours was saying the
that's what
same
we
thing
need to
as
do.
theirs.
yeah.
That I would feel better if I,
Yeah,
if
so-
I experienced that.
Our traffic consultant is here this evening, so, John, if you can get together with the traffic consultant of the applicant, and we could get together at a workshop, we should go over the construction plan so we all understand it.
Yep, no problem.
If that's okay?
Taking notes now.
Okay, thank you. So I think maybe from this point on, you have to update
The plans in the FEIS. yes.
right, you have to take care of the FEIS. We have to get the two traffic consultants together, and we have to figure out if this is how this board wants to move in that direction.
Right.
And then pass it along to the village board later on. But there's cost estimates, I noticed, that have to be done, things like that.
Right.
So until we know where we're going, then we can do the cost estimates, after that. I think that's the way we could proceed.
Okay.
John?
Yeah, if I may.
Sure.
Just to make sure we're all on the same page, because when I was here the last time, there was a certain amount of resistance to the plan, maybe that it wasn't fully understood. I think the analysis of the site plan and the off-site highway improvements pretty clearly indicate that when you separate all of the traffic that has to go through northbound on 208 from Scunnamunk and put it on the slip ramp, it's going to make things a lot better. So that's what the analysis says to me, and I hope that this board and the town board, or the village board, feel the same way. The next step is to get there, right, in as painless a way as possible. And it should be, and I'll work with the applicant's traffic consultant, it should be a process where you make sure that construction levels of construction activity are not significant, and that construction is phased so that you initially put some measures in to improve and offset your construction traffic. At the same time, you can get started on your improvements, but the applicant has made it clear in the past, and I just want to make sure this board is okay with it, that they're not going to wait until the improvements are completed to start building the building. That's what they have said. I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but they've said they can't do that because it's just sequentially too long. And what the plan is intended to do is to allow it to overlap with milestones, like they'd be initially allowed to demolish what's on the site right now and clear and grade, because that's really not going to do too much of anything to anybody. And while they were doing that, they'd get the permit from the DOT to start the work. Then they'd start the work. When they start the work, they'd have, and I'm going from memory, they'd probably have the right to start the foundations. And when they finish the foundations, they'd have to have another milestone completed. So the idea was to allow them to run at the same time but staggered, so the building is a little bit behind the improvements. If this board still feels that that's not a possibility, then I'm going to be looking at something that's different than what your expectations are. So hopefully that's not the case, and when I come back next month with Ken Worsted, we can present to you on a sort of a chart, each phase of the process, what it means for traffic, what it means for improvements, and then we can make tweaks, obviously, but the intent is to move them both along on sort of parallel tracks with the building a little bit behind the state's improvements.
That sounds good if it works logistically.
Well, we have to
Yeah.
convince you that it works logistically, but
Right.
in the past, it's been this board's opinion that, yeah, we don't want to see any construction until the improvements are completed.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work with the
Yeah,
parallel
because-
track approach.
Going through there,
Oh, I
in
came
the
through there tonight.
Well,
Yeah.
even try going at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
It is a catastrophe.
I know.
You got cars crossing over, going here, and who's going to manage it? So let's say we see this.
Yep.
And we all are in favor of it.
Yep,
And we move forward.
Yep.
Who's going to be the traffic cop here to make sure that all the phases are being done, number one?
yep.
And number two, that if there's any issues, what do? What happens?
So two parts. The on-site traffic cop is the New York State DOT's construction inspector representative.
Okay,
So the applicant is required to retain and pay an independent qualified inspector to make sure they're building the DOT's work product according to their standards. And so he will sign off that, yes, they've done this, yes, they've done this, no, they haven't done this. So that way you will know who's doing what, and he makes sure that it's done safely. So they have work zone traffic control plans that have to be prepared in advance. The DOT reviews them, they say, yes, we think this will manage the traffic that goes through. He makes sure that it's set up and maintained in the way that it's supposed to be. Then on the flip side, the building inspector will be the one who would be responsible for following the milestones and making sure, okay, the DOT inspection engineer told me they have finished this, and we agreed that when they finish this, they could start that. So the building inspector will release that portion of the work. And then a few months later, when another milestone is reached, he would release the next portion of the work. Then the last part, which was up in the air a bit, there was a lot of conversation about it. The work is bonded. By the DOT requires it to be bonded, right? Because if something goes wrong, they don't want a big pile in the middle of their roadway, and they want to come in and fix it. In the past, either this board or the village board was concerned that that wasn't what they wanted, wasn't strong enough, in part because they had no authority to execute the bond. The power lay with the DOT, and who knows what the DOT is going to do. And there was a discussion about whether there would be a letter of credit provided to the village. And that's not a traffic issue, but that's my last recollection of the discussion.
okay.
And so, you know, your legal folks and whatever would need to have a conversation with the applicant's legal folks to make sure that there is a mechanism to make sure that if something happens, the work will get finished. And there's two aspects to it. There's the work in the right-of-way, and then there's the building on the site itself.
Correct.
I'm not familiar with what your code is,
Right.
but, you know, you want to make sure that if bad things happen and nobody plans for them to happen, there's a mechanism for you to get out of it. And usually there is. It's like paying insurance, right? You don't want a hurricane to come, but you have hurricane insurance, and if something happens, then you get it fixed.
Yeah.
So you have no problem coming and meeting with the other traffic consultant and going step by step so you can show us what's going to be done so we can feel good about it?
I
Because
think
right
we-
now I don't feel good.
I think we have to do that. That's our job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
That's what that would be very helpful.
My worry is that things are forgotten, and I've seen it in the past.
Sure.
This board goes through all the process.
Yep.
And we do what we're supposed to do by law,
Yep,
by code.
yep.
And then years later, when it starts, it's not going by code. It's not going by what was on the plan.
Well, so
That's the problem.
That's why, you know, you retain a consultant to represent you. This board is a smart board. They ask questions, and everything gets worked into the agreement. Sure, there's always stuff that happens, but we do everything we can to
Right.
make sure nothing is left out.
But what happens is, we're out of the picture then. So we don't know what's going on.
Well, you're 100% right, but it's like being in any partnership. You build the deal, then you pass whatever has to be done on to
But we
people
still have
you
a
trust to
vested
do it.
interest in it.
You do, but you're passing
So-
the responsibility to the building inspector, right?
Yes, but I think this board needs to be updated on what's going on so we know what's happening each phase out there when it starts. I think the feedback would be nice to know.
So,
They don't have to, nobody has to come here, just a written report of where we are, or take the chart, that is final chart, and show everybody once every month or every couple months where the phases are.
So I will say to you that I have worked on projects, and this one coming up later is an example where you grant an approval to an applicant to do something, but you say, we want you to come back after you've started and prove that you're doing what you said you would do, and if not, make adjustments. So you could work with the planning board's attorney to condition the finding statement that there would be phased post-occupancy or through construction monitoring and reporting.
Because this is, we've had one big project in the village that kind of, I don't think went that way, but anyway, this is more important because of the corridor there.
Yep.
It is a catastrophe today, and
Yep.
it's always been, and I think we're concerned that we want to make sure that it gets done the proper way, and if there's any hiccups,
Yeah.
we should really know that there's a problem.
So I believe you can do that.
Okay.
And you have to talk to the attorney.
Ivan's
right?
going to take care of that for us,
And
right?
make sure that the finding statement
Right,
reads that way, where there's a process where they come back, they know what they have to do.
Right.
So you can't send them off and they don't know what they have to do. And then if they do it, they come back and they tell you, and you agree, yes, you did it, or you nearly did it, can you fix that? And then you let them off to the next phase.
yeah, a project this size and what it entails, I think we need to do something like that, so we're comfortable of what we've done here and finished and finalized is being carried out properly.
So now, you've heard from your consultant, but
Right.
you ought to hear from the applicant on that too.
Sure.
Because they're the ones that have to carry the can.
I appreciate you.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thanks, John.
So if I could just wrap up, I guess the only question is when we can appear next with Ken Worsted, our traffic consultant, and with John Canning.
Well,
And maybe our attorney too, to kind of, he's most familiar with the financial assurances and
Correct.
could advise the board on
Right.
those aspects also. So,
yeah, so our next workshop, we
The next
should
workshop?
do that,
okay, very
which
good.
would be in September, and I think the date is, yeah, the 14th, September 14th,
September 14th.
if I'm not mistaken. So we should make sure that that gets done. Get everybody here, the consultants, the engineers, the attorneys, and let's get this project moving forward. It's just been stalled for so long.
I think that would be good, yes.
We got to get it off the books,
Right.
so to say. So, September 14th,
Okay,
okay?
very good. Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night. Sean, thank you.
Yep, have a good night, guys.
All right, have a good night. Next on the agenda is Rest Haven.
Good evening, Tim Metz here. First of all, Chairman, I've been asking for the draft copy from the engineer.
That was for the board
I know, but
to review.
okay,
That's for the board to review.
Okay.
John's going to go over it this evening. We have a copy here.
I was just hoping in
He
advance
wrote-
review it.
He wrote this for the board. He works for the board.
I know we also
Okay, so-
agreed to do it as a mutual
As
workout.
he said, he was doing this for the board. He wanted the board to review it. Any questions, or he'll go over it with us.
Okay,
So,
so where do you want to start this evening?
well, we're going to start with John Canning.
Okay,
Yeah. So, John, if you, everybody had a chance to look at John's report that he said he would do for us. He tried to figure out how many tables are going to be here, or what type of restaurant, I should say. How many tables, how many parking spaces. We need to settle that. So, also, I got back from the PD all the accidents or incidents, and I put the last one on that was in July 26, because he didn't have that on there.
Yep.
So I wanted everybody to make sure that that was taken care of. So, John, if you want to just go over what you had done for the board, and if there's any questions.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, John Canning with Kimley Horn. We broke our analysis in two, mostly for scheduling. We wanted to get information back in front of you as soon as possible. We did a kind of a site parking access study, and then we did a traffic study. The traffic study looks at off-site potential traffic impacts. If you were building, for example, a Costco, it's going to generate a lot of traffic and they'll bung up all the intersections in the area. That's not what this is, but we still did a traffic study to make sure that it's not going to impact the nearby intersections. To do a traffic study, we have to get traffic counts, and it takes a period of time. So that was the longer one, and we only just got that finished today and submitted to you. I'm happy to review it. I don't want to review it with you now because I just gave it to you, but I will tell you that's the easier part of this project. At most, this facility will generate 60 trips in the busiest hour, and they'll be divided roughly equally between Gilbert and Lakes Road, and they'll increase delays by about 5 seconds in the peak hour. We can get into that at another time. It's not really that big. There were 11 crashes in 3 years between Gilbert Street and Lakes Road inclusive. That's not a significant number. It's still a considerable number, but I wouldn't deem it significant.
Right.
There were 4, the highest number was 4 at Knight Street, at High Street. I believe there was some sort of a awkward-looking utility pole that was out there that was part of the problem that has been since fixed. If that's the case, then that's a good thing. And the next number was 3, I think it might have been, I don't know where it was. But the bottom line is, it's not a high number of accidents, but it does point to the fact that there are still accidents and we have to pay attention to traffic safety. And in my first email, which I will discuss with you in a minute, about side access, I noted that when you come out of the driveway, the High Street was cut into the topography at that stage, at that location, so there's like a 2-foot rise when you come back off the street, and the road has a little bit of a camber to it, so when you're back from the street, you're kind of looking out, and we think that the applicant's engineer should make sure they have adequate sight lines.
Okay, this is
So
for the
that you
sight
can-
distance.
Sight distance.
Correct.
Right, that's the most important thing at the side driveway. It's not the
Correct.
number of trips going in or out.
Right.
The traffic study said that's not an issue. It's, you want to make sure when you come out, you can see cars coming up and down. So, for site access, there are two things. There's parking, and then there's actual how you get in and out. I'm going to deal with what I think is the easier one first, which is how you get in and out. Obviously, the northern driveway is an entrance. The southern driveway is an exit. The northern driveway goes under a carport. It's got 9-foot clearance. It's part of the historic building. So if you bring an ambulance or a fire truck or a PepsiCo truck or any other delivery, you're not going to get in at the northern driveway. So the only way you're going to service this building as a restaurant is to have those vehicles come in the southern driveway, which is your exit only, and they'll have to come from the south. They can't make the turn from the north. So if that's going to work, you can only have deliveries when the restaurant is closed, right? It's no guarantee that there won't be somebody in the parking lot, and I've addressed that and I'll talk to you about it. But if the restaurant is closed, there'll be almost no people going out, and you can have deliveries go in and out. There'll only be probably 2 or 3 deliveries an hour. They're not likely to come and go at the same time. So to make sure that it works, because you have to plan for the inevitable, as you say, you might forget something. We have proposed that you have 2 signs. One as you approach the driveway, and the other when you approach the exit from the parking lot. And they basically be like a flip sign. The DOT sometimes uses these on roadway segments when they're doing road work, and when the road work is going on, they open them up, and when road work is not going on, they close them down. We've got a slightly different take on that. So basically, at the entrance, you'll have a sign that says, "One way, do not enter." It's pretty clear, do not enter. But from, let's say, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. or whatever hours this board decides are necessary and appropriate for the restaurant to get deliveries, the restaurant manager would come down at 7 o'clock if that's the appointed time. There'd be a little lock on the sign, a little padlock, you'd unlock it, and you just flip the sign. The back side of the sign says authorized vehicles only. And so when you flip that over, it covers the top 2/3 of the sign. It covers the words "one way." And so now the sign reads, "Authorized vehicles only, do not enter." And so if I was a member of the public driving up there, I see "authorized vehicles only, do not enter." Oh, I can't go in there. Let's say I wanted to come and book an event, and I wanted to see Mr. Mitz or whoever's running the place. That could happen while you have deliveries, because the restaurant is not open. So they would go in the regular entrance. Your delivery folks would be told, okay, you have to come in the southern driveway and you're authorized. And so when you're making your scheduling your deliveries, you have to talk to the company and you have to tell them to tell the driver. But I think it's reasonably possible to do, especially if you have people who have done it a few times. Then on the way out, the sign would read, it'd be a yellow warning sign. So you're leaving the site. I just booked or inquired about having something at the restaurant. I said I'm going to leave. It's 10 o'clock. I'm driving out, and it's a yellow warning sign. It says slow, proceed with. Actually, it's after 11 o'clock. The restaurant is open. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. The restaurant is open. The sign says slow, proceed with caution. It's just it's a warning sign. It's kind of ambiguous. There's no harm in it, right? But then from 7 to 11, whenever the operating hours were, the sign would be flipped, and on the back side, it would completely replace that sign that now says yield to oncoming traffic. So if I happen to be there to make a reservation or to inquire, and there's 1 or 2 cars, and I'm going to go out, I go down, I see the driveway, I see this sign, it says yield to oncoming traffic, I see a truck coming in, I just have to stop.
You want back up?
Well, the sign is placed probably 100 feet from the road, so hopefully I'd be there and I have room to stay to the side and the truck could come in. So it's placed where you would not be in the driveway, you'd be coming towards the driveway and you can see the entrance. And I did propose some minor widening to the driveway, but not change, it's 10 and a quarter feet now. I'm not suggesting it be blown out to 20 feet because there's a coverage issue and a drainage issue.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
So the restaurant's full?
The restaurant is full, yes.
The fire?
Yep. So if the restaurant is full and there's a fire, 2 things happen. One, the fire apparatus responds and the police respond with lights and sirens. And then 2, every restaurant should have a fire emergency plan, and the plan in this restaurant is get everybody out of the building, don't let people drive out of the parking lot. Those are the 2 things. You move them to the parking area to assemble safely, and don't let people drive out of the parking lot.
Yeah. I just know people panic. That's my concern, is that a panicked person who just wants to get out of there.
Yeah.
You know, I just see that could be a problem. But if it's managed, and if somebody's going to be responsible for keeping people.
That's what you would have to do. It's up to this board, right? I'm giving you my opinion as a traffic engineer as to what I think would work. There's no guarantees in life. Nobody, gave me a papal seal and said I'm infallible. So my opinion is that, and your fire department has to weigh in on this as well, right? That this is a workable system. You would have to have a management plan. And number 1 on the plan is if there's an emergency, you got to get the people out of the building, get them into the parking lot, and don't let people get in their cars and drive out. Pardon me. So that's site access. And the next issue really is parking, and how much parking and how much seating. So they have a good size, the ground floor, plus or minus, not counting the outdoor seating, the porches where you could put seating, and I'll come back to that. Not counting the museum room. They have a room there, they said they designated as a museum room. It's 3,100 square feet plus or minus. And when you look at that with ITE, the Institute of Transportation Engineers gives you projections based on surveys of restaurants. And it says that an average restaurant that's 3,100 square feet would generate 57 parked vehicles. I think that's what I said in this report.
Yeah, I think it was.
And but then, average means half or more and half or less. Although if you're a real statistician, it's not necessarily technically half. That's the mean versus the median, blah blah blah. But it's more or less. So if you go and say, well, hopefully Tim has a great restaurant. That's what we all want. It could generate. I think, I don't know what number I said. Let me see if I can find it here. $86 vehicles, right? Which is well more than the 54 he's providing. So that would be a problem, okay? That's based on the square footage. The other thing that the Institute of Transportation Engineers gives you trip projections on as an independent variable is seats. And it kind of makes sense. The more seats you have, the more people you will have parked there. It's not a hard and fast rule, because you could have a ton of seats and a crappy chef, pardon my language, and you're not going to have that many people parked there. Or you could have a small number of seats and a fabulous chef, and people would be lining up out the doors willing to stand around and wait for an hour, right? We looked at that as well, and 109 seat, and I could have rounded it up, but that's just a number. 109 seat restaurant, on average, would generate a parking demand of 51 parked vehicles. And I left it room for a couple of the lodgers. Some of the lodgers will be already dining there, but I left room for a couple of spaces. That's an average restaurant. And The 85th percentile says that 54 parking spaces with 81 seats, 85% of restaurants have 54 or fewer parked vehicles. So this,
At peak time, I think.
at peak time,
Yes,
so
peak
this is
time.
all at peak time,
Right.
but if you take 100% of all the restaurants surveyed and pick the top 85th, the 85th, so 15% or more, but 85% or less, with 81 seats, that would generate a parking demand of 54
54, right.
vehicles, right? And again, a couple of spaces for the lodgers and maybe one space for Tim. He's going to take his bicycle.
He's gonna live there.
He's got to live there.
If we limit the amount of people, the
Yeah.
occupancy,
Yeah.
does that solve the problem?
That's you're way ahead of me.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's exactly where I was
Finish
going.
talking.
No. That's great. That's great. So what I have proposed here, and it's a starting point, but and the other thing to remember is that when you open a new restaurant, everybody loves it usually for the first few months, and they go 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and then they're like, oh, I've been there 6 times already. I'm going to go somewhere else. So the other thing we want to guard against is the novelty of a new restaurant. It opens, everybody goes there, and it's really successful, and you could have problems for the first few months. So what I'm proposing is sort of a phased operation, and I've started off by saying that day one, the restaurant would be allowed to open with 80 seats. And you remember the 85th percentile was 81, so 80 seats. And I'm recommending that there's nothing, it's just really a restaurant. There's nothing that generates any additional parking, such as, and I'm not even sure people do this anymore, dancing and, stuff like that.
Right.
You can have dancing if you have an event, right? And the people that are dancing at the event or the people that are dining, they're the same people. It's not more parking. But if you have a restaurant in one room and you have, a bar with a DJ in the other room and people are in there dancing, then that's not, the number of seats is irrelevant now because you've got extra people. So initially you'd start with 80 seats. You wouldn't have dancing or anything that would generate extra people independently. You'd only allow outdoor seating if you were taking away indoor seating. And how do you enforce that? So you have to decide whether you trust the applicant and the building inspector to manage that or not. So you could just say no outdoor seating. That's the easiest way. Mm-hmm. And then 3 months after opening, after the restaurant has been established and people have gotten used to it, things have calmed down a little bit, the applicant would come back, he'd do a parking study on 2 busy nights, and he'd say on 2 busy nights we had 80 customers and 60 customers, and we had 50 cars parked and 34 cars parked, whatever the results say. If he comes back with a study and it shows that they had so many people and there were so many spaces still available, he could make his case that they could increase that number a certain amount. And then you would review it and determine whether the information provided was sufficient, whether the data pointed to the fact that he could potentially have more seats. And you'd probably have been to the restaurant at that stage yourselves and experienced it. And if you felt that he made the case from his parking surveys, you could increase the number of seats.
So basically, what it sounds like is this would be under the fine dining restaurant.
Yes. So,
And because this is not a bed and breakfast, it's a country inn, so there's no breakfast served.
yeah.
There's not going to be any lunch served, it's just going to be dinner.
So,
As of now, no lunch. We're gonna start off, like he said, slow, deal with the dinner and work.
Well, that's why his idea to the board is doing in phases. Because let's say your restaurant is very popular, okay? You're gonna need more parking. So you're not gonna do that in a week. You have to come back to the board for the additional parking.
That was part of our prior discussion.
Right,
was
so-
start with what we have, and if I find I need more, or you made a suggestion the last time about valet parking, to be able to add some more spots on. I did experience that actually just recently.
Okay,
with a new restaurant.
we understand that, but we need to put in a special use permit that this is gonna have to happen.
Oh, of course.
So this way we know that, you know, if he's gonna expand,
He's gotta come back.
then he has to come, of course he has to come back, but, you know, we gotta try to make sure that we keep it, I guess, 80 seats?
So 80 is my initial recommendation.
Right.
Is that with bars, stools as well?
That includes all seating,
Total seat?
yeah.
Would you object to that, to start out with 80?
I mean, I'd rather have 100.
I know, but I'm saying, if to help you with your phasing,
I mean,
to help you understand how the business is gonna go,
right, and
so this way, this board can feel comfortable that you're gonna maybe start with 80 seats,
right,
57 parking spaces, so to say,
54.
54, I'm sorry, 54, and see how the business goes.
Let me ask you this question, as just a thought, because what I saw and what you suggested. Self-parking, he's suggesting 8 at seat, but now what if I add the factor of valet parking on Friday and Saturday night? Not changing anything, just adding the valet parking. How would that plan affect?
Well, you still
Well,
have the
hold on.
same number of cars if you have valet parking, you just have
Well,
somebody.
I think he
Well,
did
Canning
this.
says you can accommodate more.
Yes.
So-
Yeah, let
Yes.
Valet?
let
Yes.
John- let
So, couple of quick things. One, when I looked at his site plan, I can find two extra, not that it makes much of a difference, I can find 2 extra spaces that comply with the code that you could stripe out. They're kind of in the middle of it's a big parking lot in the back, they'd be in the middle, but they're 2 spaces,
Right.
right? This board could decide whether they think that's a good idea or not. The second part is, if this board allows him to start off with 80 seats, right? And he's running a great restaurant and tons of people are showing up. The way to get out of that issue is he could say, and you could require in that first 90 days, you've got to do valet parking. Okay?
Okay.
If we let you have 80 seats and 54 parking spaces is not enough, you have to do valet parking. I provided a plan. In valet parking, you can do a couple of things. One, normally people park probably, it's not an 8-foot, 9-foot spaces. You get a valet in, he'll put it in 7.5 feet. And so if you've got 20 spaces together, you get an extra space. Plus, you can put cars in front of the spaces. So by my reckoning, you can go from 54 to 74 with the valet parking plan. I would caution that if you're going to do valet parking, you have to show it to the fire department, and they have to be comfortable that they can respond with 74 cars parked in some sort of an arrangement like I've shown. And the idea of that is if you start them off at 80, that says it should be okay. If it's not okay, there's a backup plan, which is valet parking, which we've run by the fire department and they're comfortable with it. And so that gets you through that. Then, after the 90 days, he can come back. Maybe things have calmed down because people, all of a sudden it was great, everybody's going, and now it's just okay, whatever. He can come back after 90 days and make his case, and he may not have a case to make. It may turn out that it's a great restaurant and he still has 74 people showing up every night, even with 80 seats. But that shouldn't be a problem for him because he's got a lot of people in there all the time.
So would it be something to show 74 parking spaces and bring it through now to the fire company? So this way, if you have to expand?
Well, I what I know about the TOAST program, Paulie, you're familiar with TOAST, the POS? One of the features, I checked it out today, I haven't had personal experience with it, is it will produce a report telling me how many people come in, obviously certain times and everything. What it'll also tell you, I'm told, is how long they stay.
Right.
So the classification, if we do a fine dining today, classification may say it's something else, but that's a report that can be given to the board as a private document because it's going to have a lot of proprietary information, and as Paul knows, and Paul
You
can.
could block out sales and all that, and you could just show,
Right, but that would then say to you, well, okay, we were 931, but maybe it should be 932 now, and this is what we'll adjust. But would I like something that would say, and I like his idea, is have maybe if he's got a layout because it's really the layout, from what I understand, is all in the back new extension. Nothing's in that way going up that the fire department uses. So nothing's in their way. There's no change there. It's just the amount of cars that are parked in the back section.
is to maybe say, okay, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna use 80, you know, like I said, I'd like a little more, but we'll use the number for now. But if it gets busy, we'll use the new layout that he's suggesting when I see it in detail. Lay that out, give us 50, 60, 57 parking spaces. Whatever. In the event we end up getting busy, I want something that can automatically trigger and say, okay, now you have to add in valet parking. And that way we're covered. Now, if I go beyond that, that's where I know, and I've said this to you from day one, I will have to come back to you if I need a much bigger parking lot than what we have. But these ideas, which wasn't even given to me by my own site people, is I think it's workable, and it give me something to trigger. Maybe to trigger it, I come back and I say to the board, here's my report. You look over a report and you either sign off on it or not, without having to go through all this process again, because it's got to be happen quickly if I need the additional spaces.
Well, that's the point I'm bringing up.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
You're not going to do it in a week. You're not going to do it in a month. I mean, we could approve it, but it could be winter. They can't pave. So those are the things. So that was my point of asking, is it an advantage for Mr. Mitz to take the site plan and with the 54 parking and show extra parking to 74, so to say? And let's submit that. So you have two phases. You have the current phase of 54, then you got the 74 or whatever the other number is. Put that as a phasing situation for you for the future.
So it's pre-approved already up to a certain amount.
The fire department can.
And that's it.
And the fire department looks at it, and the fire department already said it was okay. Our engineering, our attorney, they can, vouch that, this is the second phase, we could put it in special use permit. We're just worried, well, I'm worried, that your success will be quick, and you're not going to be able to fill getting those parking spaces.
Oh, you may overfill them.
Well, now that you have a second phase for more parking.
Right. Oh, yes.
It saves time in the future for you to go through the process.
Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with it. We'll just phase it out. I don't know how you want me to trigger it. Meaning, let's say today you go, okay, 80 seats, 54 parking spaces, and I go, oh my God, now I got 100. Do I have to go back to the board, or is there something I go to the board, or go to the building inspector and say, here, and this is what special use permit, this is what my report says, I need to trigger this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Somebody's got to, go ahead, John. We got to know that, so we can have the second phase of the plan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a certain amount of trust involved in everything we do in life,
Sure.
right? And if we trust that Tim and the operator are going to do the best they can to manage parking, if you run a restaurant and it's a popular restaurant, you have reservations, and you don't take more reservations than you can park, right? So Tim opens a restaurant. With every restaurant, your first 2 weeks are a concern because you have no idea what's going to happen, but you learn quickly, and so Tim will figure out, and maybe Tim needs to have some sort of backup plan for his opening weekend, right? Which could be valet. My thought would be that you approve him for, let's say, 80 seats with 54 self-park parking spaces. We run the valet parking layout past the fire department. It's approved by the fire department as acceptable. Tim doesn't have to do it when he opens, but he has to do it when he opens and he has a parking problem.
Okay.
Right? It's mandated. He can open with 80 and 54 because we think that's enough. But if it turns out that it's not enough, he has to provide the valet parking. It's already been approved.
Right.
And part of his parking management plan is, his first couple of weeks, oh my God, that was a disaster. Reservations only, and you can schedule, how often the reservations are so that you can spread people out. And I'm thinking worst case here. Hopefully, I want his business to be successful,
Hopefully
right?
he needs more
But we
extra
don't want it
parking.
to be a burden.
Right, well,
So
that's
I'm-
why I like to see, take care of the future before it comes.
Yeah.
So to say, so we can go for it.
Between the two?
Yeah,
As
you
needed.
would give him permission not to provide value. He could always do it as a service if he wanted, you know, a very, very upmarket restaurant where you drive in and guys in white gloves come out and let you out of your car and whatnot. I don't, you know, if that's permitted under the code. But most restaurants, it's an added expense. So if people can park themselves and walk themselves in, that'd be fine as long as there was enough parking. But if he found that there wasn't enough parking and this board had determined that he could have 80 seats and have people, you know, fill it up, so long as he had enough parking, he would have to implement the valet parking. He'd know in advance, okay, it's Friday night, last Friday night I needed it, this Friday night my reservations look full, I'm going to need it. And you'd have to, you know the morning of and have a contract with a valet provider that's kind of ongoing. You know, the details of it I don't know, but you'd have to be able to do it on a regular basis.
There are restaurants I know of that they have no valet parking during the week, but Friday and Saturday night they have valet parking.
Exactly. You'd have to think what do you want to do on Mother's Day, stuff like that, right?
How about special events? Now, how would you work, like, what, if you're going to do a wedding there?
Well, special events are gonna be very, just like what I used to do when I did the events. The house was closed down except for the event,
Right.
just like other places.
That's what I'm saying. So you have to have an event that has just that right
So
amount of people.
two parts to that.
Okay.
A special event doesn't just happen, right? It's planned weeks, if not months in advance, right? So somebody's going to come to Tim and say, I want to have a special event. The first thing Tim's going to say is, well, how many people do you want, right? And if they say 180 as well, the planning board only told me I can only have 80, and they'll go find somewhere else. So if they come and they say 80 people at a special event is probably less cars parked than 80 people at a restaurant. If it's a family event, right, it's an 80-person wedding, which is kind of small, but still good, right? Family members usually 2, 3, 4 to a car, right? A restaurant, it's usually 2 to a car, maybe sometimes 4 to a car.
Right.
So an event is planned, so it's easier to manage. Depending on the type of event, you have a better understanding of how many people will be parked. If it's a corporate event, you know, maybe you're doing some luncheon for, and we can go back to luncheon in a minute, but maybe you're doing some luncheon for some business organization. People usually come to that 1 or 2 to a car. If it's a wedding, they usually come 2, 3 or 4 to a car. So you can plan that out, and then you know it in advance. And it's not any more 80 seats. It's not really any more people than the regular restaurant.
Correct.
It's more traffic because they come in a more concentrated time, and we looked at that in our traffic report.
Right.
You know, it starts at 1 o'clock, so people start showing up at 12:30, and the last stragglers come in at 1:15.
Right. Okay.
So the only thing I would ask based on this, we're 3 months out,
And I send you a report and says, oh, I need 10 more tables to cover what I'm doing. What will be that mechanism on this as well? So we have everything lined up. And I'm gonna run off the toast system because that POS is gonna tell me, I believe everything. And if I find out I need 10 more, 4 more tables just to cover what I have right now, I'd like something laid up with the board, set up with the board in advance that, even if I hand you the report and you see what's going on and you look at the other aspects, the parking being there and everything else as he put it, John put it, then we know we can, kind of like a tripping mechanism. Even if it's just, well, send the board this and we're gonna look it over and tell you whether we're gonna approve it or not. Because, it's not hard to look at the report and say, yeah, you know what? Over the last 5 months, six months, it's averaged out. He really could use another 4 tables. And that was my agreement in very, very, very beginning, is I want to do very little up front to get the thing open, to figure out where it's going to go. Because German restaurants are a unique creature.
When you say you like need 10 more tables, what do you mean by that?
I'm saying if I'm looking at the system and looking at the statistics and it says I don't have enough tables with the crowd coming in, I'm turning business away, but I can accommodate additional spots, what could be triggered so I can add 2, 3 tables, 4 tables based on what I'm seeing.
Well, your valet would do that.
What's that?
Your valet would give you more people.
That would add more, correct,
Okay,
right.
but if you have to get more besides, on top of the valet, then you have to give us another plan.
And that's where my question comes in,
That's why I
because
said do the 2-phase plan.
that he's suggesting.
Right.
But
you-
up
you
to
gave us
70.
the first phase now, just
Right.
add the second phase, so we have the two phases.
Right, so my question then becomes this, a logic question. If we're up to with, if we do put all the phases in, if I'm correct, we're at like 74 spots?
You're at 74 spots, yes.
So if I'm at 74 spots, am I allowed to increase the seating from 80 to whatever that equivalent would be at 74 spots?
Providing that your parking is there first.
With the 74. But the 74 is in place.
Right.
The valet's in place.
Right.
I'm at 74. How many people would the number go up to? That's the question.
So there's a couple of aspects to this. I'm going to step back and then address the issue where you guys are presumably doing a seeker review, right? And as part of the seeker review, we want to make sure that we cover all of the eventualities so that he doesn't come back 3 months from now and have to do a new seeker review, right? We did our traffic study for up to 150 seats. The traffic study, how much traffic would be added to the adjacent intersections, right? The other aspects of seeker that you would need to look at, that not my area of expertise, but it's water and sewer, that they jump out, right? So if we did seeker for water and sewer at 150 people and it was okay, the only real issue is parking.
Correct.
Right? So we could make a determination, this board can make a determination that
Right.
this application is approved right now for 80 seats with 54, 56 parking spaces, with valet up to 74, assume we get it all approved. And it's also approved with the right to come back to this board and provide, strictly looking at parking, a study that demonstrates that they could have more seats. So the only thing we would be changing is seats, nothing outside the building, not increasing anything else, just the number of seats.
Phase 2 of the site plan would have the extra parking.
Well, no.
No?
If he came back, if he wanted to come back, this is, let's say he came back and he said, I have 80 seats, but my maximum number of people parked ever is 54, right? Even on the busiest days. I don't know if he's going to say that, but if he comes back and he said, Canning said 80 seats would, could get up to 74, but I'm only going to getting up to 54, right? I would like to add 20 more seats from 80 to 100, and that'll get me from 54 to 64. Can I have this board's permission to do that without anything else? And if he provided you the data that showed it, you could say, okay, we're only changing the number of seats. You've proved to us that there's enough parking. He could always, at any time, come back to this board and add more physical parking out there. It's just going to be a new application and a whole new process because it's a site plan amendment.
I see.
So I guess what I'm saying is he can always choose to come back and add more parking later and make physical changes to the site. What I'm saying is if you start him off at 80, and if that's good for him, great. If you start him off at 80 and he finds, well, I've got 80, but I never have more than 50 cars parked, I could easily have another 30 seats and then that would bump it up and I'd still have enough parking.
Okay, I got it.
And he would have to, he'd have to come back to you and give you the point of sales information and some parking surveys and persuade you that that was the case. But the only thing that you would be changing would be the number of seats. It should be a 1 meeting visit, maybe 2, but you should be able to do it quickly because you're only looking at one thing, parking. And there's no outside changes and no access issues, any of that.
Adding parking,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what happens, again, just so I think in my head, because I'm like you and like yourselves, I'm a planner. I come back, phase 2 gets put in, we got the 74 spots, right?
Well, so right now, what we're talking about...
No, I know, but I'm jumping ahead now. If I got up to the 74 spots, as suggested, the far end that we're talking about using his layout, for the parking, for the building, do I need to come back, or do I maybe go to that, because, until I see the full layout of the 74, because I think it includes valet parking?
74 is the valet.
Valet, oh, is it valet?
Has to be.
Has to be
Right.
valet, okay. But that's only valet on Friday and Saturday night, correct?
Whenever you need it.
Oh, whenever you need it, okay, which would be primarily Friday and Saturday night. Okay, so given that number, where would my number go? Because then I want to cost it out too and say, hey, is it worth me going there now versus going there down the road? Or if something happens and it slowly builds and I realize I need it sooner than the 90 days, I want to be able to plan I'm just trying to figure out where to plan in my
Well, right
head.
now, you don't want to go over the half acre, because then you got to do a SWIP.
Well, this doesn't touch the this doesn't affect, the 74 doesn't affect, it's all within the half acre. We're not going in that. We're not even, I do not want any black pavement other than the entrance and exit beyond the back corner of the house.
So right now, what you're saying is making the 54-74 on that black pavement
Yes.
With them.
with valet.
With valet.
You got
With
two
valet.
plans, your first plan is the
Cor-
54, the
correct.
second plan is valet.
Correct, and I want to be able to trigger it, and when I trigger it, because of the way we set it up, I want to know how fast I can put additional seats in there if I need them, just in case, because I'm finding it's handled,
Well, if you
but,
got the parking, you could put them in.
Well,
no?
so what I've suggested, right, is it's sort of two triggers. One trigger's on him, the other trigger's on you.
Right.
You approve him for some number, let's say 80 seats, okay? And he's allowed to operate, and he can operate at 54 parking spaces. But if that's not working for him, the trigger, it's automatically triggered that he has to have valet in there to make sure he has enough parking.
So you can get the
Up to
74
Right? We think he
on the
can-
half acre, on less than half an acre.
on less than half an acre, and what's there
Right.
now?
well, also, it's also on the existing blacktop
Yes,
as
yes,
well. It's
yes.
all
Right.
mixed, so it's
Right.
not just.
Anytime he goes beyond 54, he's got to use valet parking.
Yeah.
That's it,
Yeah.
it's simple enough.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
the question for him would be, when, is the 54 good for 80 seats, is it good for more seats?
Well, so I'm saying,
He's got to show, he would need information from his own restaurant
yes.
as to when, if he's selling out all 80 seats, how many spaces are taken?
Yeah.
That's kind of what he's got to show.
Right.
Yeah, or he could sell out 60 seats and have, I'm going to say, 40 cars parked and say, okay, if I went from 60 to 100, let me make it easier on myself, okay?
Yeah.
If he had 30, if he had, let's say he was 74, 70, let's say 70, let's say he had 35 seats parked, right? And he had, still not making it easier. Let's say he had
35 seats sold.
He had 35 seats sold, right? And he had, let me make it easier, 40. He had 40 seats sold and he had 60 cars parked with valet, right? So that's 1.5 per seat, right? So if he could increase it from 40 to 80 is doubling it, right? So that's not going to work, right? If he had 60, twice 60 is 120.
Right.
He's got to come back to you and say, yeah, ideally it would be all 80 sold out and still parking left over. But he could have, let's say, 70 seats parked and only the 70 seats filled and only 30 spaces parked. So there's clearly enough room. He'd have to come back and tell you, these are my surveys, these are how many people were seated, these are how many were parked, and now if I project it forward to whatever I'm asking for.
And how do we know that that's accurate? We're relying on Mr. Metz?
So, just, one, rely on his remits, and two, he would have to get a traffic engineer to do a parking survey. They'd go out there when he's in operation 2 nights, they'd count the number of vehicles parked, and he would provide the remits for that night.
Or
Or,
you could do it.
well, I could do it, but
You could do it,
yeah,
and the cost would be borne by him.
that too. The idea is that he gets an independent professional so that
Right.
he's
But
not.
wasn't that kind of a conflict, that using our traffic engineer for,
Well, so
it's kind of a conflict,
As-
isn't it, Ivan?
Is there a conflict with?
as long as I'm paid by you and I recognize that I'm working for you, it's not a conflict.
Right.
Okay,
And
so,
now, I'm paid by you, but
right,
you're reimbursed by him.
right.
That's right.
So basically, you're gonna work for us to rely on getting the data from Mr. Mitz.
No, he's
So
gonna get data.
I'll do the
Oh,
surveys.
no, but he's got, if Tim gives him the data, he's gotta go and verify it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
So Mitch would say, hey, on the last couple of weekends, we've done
Right.
X amount of tables,
Right.
and I'm telling you, Mr. Canning, we've got only 50 of the spaces
Yeah.
taken. 80 seats sold and only 50 spaces. And that's the way it's gone.
Right.
So the Canning then comes in a couple weekends in a row and says, okay, how's the restaurant sold on this Friday and Saturday night? And now he's counting spaces himself.
And I'd probably go in, walk through the restaurant once, not count people sitting down, but just give it an eyeball and see, yeah,
Right.
it looks pretty crowded, right?
Right.
Or it looks pretty empty. And then we get the remits from him, and if they match, it's like, okay, it
Yeah,
looks,
that's right. If they match, everything's fine. If they're, yeah, that's right.
So with the standard, we're gonna give him an occupancy with just the 54 parking spots.
yep,
Then we're gonna give him an occupancy with valet parking. And if he wants to go above that, he then has to come to us with a report saying that people are coming in 4 to a car, I have plenty of spots.
yep,
That, at that point, he comes
Exactly.
to change his occupancy.
exactly. The only thing you left out,
The valet parking people are gonna park it on the other pavement, so they're
Right,
gonna
so
fit
he's
it
gonna
in.
have, we're gonna give him 2
Right.
occupancies.
Right.
And then if he wants to change that, he has to come with information, and then we have to verify it, and then we can move to that.
the only thing you left out is the limit on the number of seats, which I have suggested is 80.
Right.
Mr. Mitz would like a little bit more than
More,
80.
right.
And this board has to use its collective wisdom to decide what they think. But you're exactly right. It'd be 54 South Park. If he needs more parking, he has to provide valet.
Mhm.
We believe he can get up to 74. The fire department should weigh in on that to say that's acceptable or not. And then whatever number of seats this board feels is appropriate to go with that 54 and 74.
So what we would do is go with the 54. If we go to 74, we're still staying at 80.
With valet parking,
Until we validate it.
but you have
Yes.
that with valet parking,
No, we put with up to 74 with the valet,
right,
and my seating still stays at 80
Correct.
right.
until,
So you start that off, right?
right?
Then after you've been operating for a little bit, it's like, I can get more out of this. I'm sure I can convince the board.
Okay.
You let somebody know, and they say, okay, you've got to get somebody to do a study, whether it's me or some other independent professional. And then they prepare a report that's surveys of actual parking, an observation inside, remits from you, and some calculations that says, yes, your story is correct. We think you can increase it from 80 to 100, let's just say.
Okay.
Or you do the study and it says, no, too bad.
Yeah, I get
I
it.
don't know what
Right,
it's
so
Right.
right now we're reasoning.
Right.
There's a great quote about the law, all the way to Holmes. The life of the law is not reason but experience. Because reason, you reason,
Yes,
reason.
yes.
But then experience shows actually it's working. We thought 54 to 80 seats was the right ratio, but now we've done this. We've been in business for 3 months, and you're finding out, hey, you know what? You're selling 80 seats every Friday and Saturday night. And you're not more than 40 spaces taken.
Yeah.
Which would then
Which would
increase.
indicate that you have more capacity, or the other way, the experience shows, hey, you know what? 80 seats are sold, and man, I got cars up and down, people are trying to park on High Street. Now, that's, one way or the other, experience would show if this ratio is proper or not. Right now, we think Gang's got a good idea for what it is, but the proof will be in the pudding as to when your restaurant is at 80 spaces, how many seats are taken? Not how many seats, how many parking spaces are taken?
Right.
That's what we need to figure out, and while we're reasoning our way towards that right now, we don't really have the experience. But
Right, and I get
after a
that.
couple months, we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Right, I said that in the beginning.
We're solving X for them.
Well, that's right. No, I get that.
That's what we're
I
doing.
get
Yeah.
that, but.
So
Well, you're
Nobody knows-
verifying
nobody knows.
you're verifying against my POS where I sit.
Well-
Because that's gonna also tell you how many people are in the place on a
We're
given day, am I
going to the
wrong?
racetrack and we're putting a bet down here,
Yeah.
so to say.
Yeah,
But
I
now,
bet
in
3 million on
reality,
this, don't worry
when-
about
when-
it.
When reality comes,
Yeah.
we're gonna know the answer.
Yeah, I have
We're
no
gonna know
problem,
the
that- I have no problem with that. The only concern I get is I come back to you and now I'm waiting 6 months to add 5 tables. How can we streamline this?
I
so-
don't think we'd have to do we have?
But you follow what I'm saying? Because this is a new process.
Well, I think the tables is one thing, it's the parking that we really are
And plus,
focusing.
keep records all along. That'll save you a lot of time, because you know you may have this ahead of you. Keep your records
Yeah.
all the time. You found all the information right
Well,
there, you come to.
that's why I asked about the tow system, because it keeps track, it even keeps track, I believe, how long people are sitting there, and it tells you on average.
Well, that's-
So,
it-
You
whether.
showed a pretty good idea a couple months in. When I saw 20 seats, X amount of parking spaces were taken. When I saw 40 seats, X amount of parking spaces were taken. 60 seats, 80 seats. And those numbers should probably be consistent over the next.
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. How do I want the system, the parking lot to know that?
Let
Because
John-
people
let-
are coming and going all night long.
Let John tell you.
So what's going to be fundamentally important is that your resolution of approval, assuming that there is one, is clear and well documented. And it says a number of things, right? It addresses seeker. We've looked at water and sewer and traffic off-site for 150. So you could maybe, if you had enough parking, get up to 150 seats. You've looked at parking and that he's approved to have 80 seats. He's required to provide 54 self-park, and he's required to provide up to 74 with valet parking if needed, right? The board has also considered whether they would entertain an increase of the 80 seats from 80 to some higher number if the applicant came back and provided data, experiential data that the board found satisfactory. And that you could then say, that can be done without reopening seeker because it's only
Right.
seats. It's
Right.
not extra parking more than what you're providing, right? And you could say that the mechanism would be that he would come before this board, present the information, and if the board was satisfied in one evening, they could change the site plan approval from 80 to 90, 95, whatever. If the board was not satisfied, you could tell them, we think you need more information, or you could just tell them to go pound salt, right? You
Well,
didn't-
let me ask you this, Paul, you're a restaurant, right? How often will a busy restaurant or will a restaurant's doing well? You got, say, 80 seats there.
Mhm.
60 is what? Three quarters of your seats? How often will a busy restaurant sell 3/4 of the seats?
How often? Well, you gotta look at, as far as capacity,
Yeah,
What do you do?
so how often does a restaurant sell 3/4 of the seat? I mean, if it's doing well, is that pretty?
if you're doing well, then it's frequent, yeah, I mean, but mainly, it's your Thursday through Sunday, right, Thursday through
Thursday,
Saturday.
Saturdays, but
Right.
if it's doing well, it will exceed that quite a bit.
Yes, and there will be wait time, that's where someone goes to the bar, and
Yep.
has a drink, they have to wait a half hour for their seat or
Yep.
whatever.
So I don't think it'd be hard for Mr. Mitson to come back to us if the restaurant's doing well and document a number of times that he sold out more than 60 seats and the parking was this.
Well, back to your point, the beauty of this toast system is that it'll tell you your every peak time, wait time, how many people you sat, and typically, what he's gonna find out is that his busiest time of the night is between 6:30 and 7:30. That's pretty much your busiest time. So all he has to do is really walk out the parking lot and just be like, what do I got going on here? That's pretty, any one of us can drive through on a Friday.
You mean count at the highest point? of
Yes,
time?
yes.
In the simplest,
Okay.
stripped down form, that's really what you would do. That's how I would do. I'd
That's
walk out
correct.
there, 7 o'clock, and be like, what's it looking like out here?
Yeah.
Well, and then can we put that in part of mark that as being put in part of the special, that the time to count the seats will be between 6:30 and 7:30, the highest
Well, your
peak.
peak time.
Yeah.
Yeah, peak, so
Friday
this way
and
we're
then
all on the
Saturday.
same board.
Just put it in his peak time.
Right.
It's usually 6:30 to 7:30.
Right.
But if you put in a time, now you're limited to that time. If you
Right.
say the peak time, then he can come back with his point of service and it can show you when the peak time was.
His toast graph will literally have a
Yes.
bar on
Yeah.
it. It'll show-
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
And,
you'll be able
and so
to
if it
read
happens to be 5:30 to 6:30, then, or on a Sunday, it could be a Sunday at lunchtime.
Concern for Mr. Metz, if he's continually bumping up against that 80 seat limit,
Yes.
and if that's the case, there should be plenty of instances where he's above 60, and he can say, well, once I hit 60, typically this many parking seats are gone, when I get to 70, this many parking
Yes.
seats are gone. That should be no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
It's gonna be a trial, like you said,
Sure.
the proof's in the pudding until you get there.
Right.
Right.
And that's what I said from day one, and why I didn't want to go and just black out the entire parking lot or the lawn and everything. It doesn't make sense, because God forbid it doesn't work out. What do you got? You got a historical home that's been destroyed from the front look, which is, I've from day one been trying to avoid.
And just one last thing, just to remind the board that I based my calculations on the 85th percentile. That means that it's much better than average restaurant,
Right.
which is what I hope, but that's conservative. If it turns out that it's just an average restaurant, which isn't so bad anyway, right? It should be that he'll have less parking, right? In which case, he could come back to you with his studies and show, I have less parking or whatever. But it's, my point is, with the 80 and the 54 and the 74, it's based on a conservative estimate for a restaurant.
Right.
That's the 85th percentile.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to make sure that our first step, we don't trip,
Right,
right?
right. So how does Dave and Ivan feel about this?
Well, I think it makes sense. I mean, you know, when Tim first made the application, there was a, you know, discussion about the number of seats, square footage, parking spaces, et cetera. And, you know, I understand he wanted to sort of open the business without having a set number of seats. And that was a concern certainly for the board.
Right.
They can't give you carte blanche to, you know, to start the restaurant and then, you know, without a control. I think this establishes a control, a number that's comfortable based on the number of seats. And it gives you a period of time to see how it works. And if you've got lots of room in the parking lot, you can certainly come back and get more seats if
Yeah, and like
if
I
the
said,
if the
why
results
make
show
it a
that.
simple process of upping that number if need be?
Yeah, it
Right.
doesn't sound like it's gonna be difficult, as
Yeah.
long as you
I think it's
keep get your information and come before us. Like, we're all ready to work with you on it,
Okay.
you know, so, sounds
And
good.
I might even give it a little bit more than 3 months, because like, I think, you know, maybe what someone said earlier.
Yeah, I
was-
wouldn't give it 3 months, because he's got to get it started up. We got to give him a little more time.
And then,
Oh, yeah,
and also you understand that,
He needs to get established,
exactly.
so.
and everyone out of the gate, it's the new thing, you know, so
Right.
we're gonna go, and then things level off, you know, things
Right.
get back to normal.
Yeah, and I get that, and that's why I didn't want the bigger parking lot. This is
Right.
why when David suggested don't go over a half acre of land, is why I purposely said in the very day one,
But we heard you.
Gary, no, but Gary, you weren't here in the very beginning, in the first meeting when I was here. I do not want to go over, and I'm very cautious about how we're, and what we're touching on the property. I have no problem with what was discussed tonight, and I think you have an idea what we got to put in, but I'd like to do, I know you said they were
Well,
drafts.
let's hear from.
No, just finish up here with John for a
That's what
minute.
we are. Let's hear from Ivan, our attorney.
I agree. I agree with Dave's position as well.
Okay.
It seems to be the best for everybody. It gives an opportunity to figure out what works
Yeah.
and what doesn't.
I think it makes it a lot easier for everybody, I should say. So,
If you can please undraft these reports and send them to me now that the board has looked at them, so I have them.
undraft what reports?
Well, there were reports he gave to
Oh.
you. I haven't
Have a
seen any
copy?
of those reports.
There's no reports.
They're on the table in front of you.
There's a report.
Huh?
There was a report
Is it one report or two reports?
here. Didn't you,
So when we just discussed.
yeah.
That's the traffic impact study, I think, right? But the other report was the parking, which
Well, we
was a
didn't,
couple
we
weeks ago, I
didn't,
think.
we just got the, no, the one that we did, that we got, that John did, the first one,
I have the July 13th one.
the draft.
That's not the right? That's the direct,
No, this is today's date.
no? I know,
So,
I don't know
Mr. Chairman,
why
there was
it's
one today, which obviously nobody's had a chance to look at, and there was one about 2 weeks ago.
What, the one from 2 weeks ago, remember I said, do you have the copy
But I
tonight?
think that's that.
No.
It was, both of them say August 10th.
They both say it's that.
Well, the ones that I printed out today, because I just printed them out coming up here.
Yeah, this one, I don't think we saw this one.
It's proposed,
July 23rd.
let's see,
Yeah, that's it. No, this is today's.
there's,
The thing I don't understand is, does the date change if you amend it?
oh, one of them is a PDF, which is the one I sent today. The other one was a Word document,
So maybe that's.
and so it automatically
Yeah,
updates.
that's
All right,
what
so this one here, just email it to.
That is this.
Yeah, just
So-
email me.
Yeah,
a
but
copy.
that's
It's that.
the whole thing?
Mr. Chairman, I would just encourage the board to read both of them, and if you have issues with any of them, then we'll discuss it and change it and fix it, and then you can give it to Mr. Mitz.
Oh,
Two other quick things. Delivery hours, right? I've made a recommendation for a flip sign system, and that the sign would say, "Do not enter," coming in, and "Caution" going out on a regular basis, and then when there were deliveries, it would be flipped to say, "Do not enter, authorized vehicles only," and on the out, it would say, "Yield to oncoming traffic." So the two things are, one, what hours this board feels are appropriate, and Mr. Mitz has to have a say in that as well, to accommodate deliveries, trash removal, all that sort of stuff. The second part of that is, if this system works, it would be good that Mr. Mitz had the opportunity to have lunch, because it extends the hours of business and makes it a more viable business. The only qualifier from my perspective on that is if deliveries run into the lunchtime hour when the restaurant is open, that would be a problem, right? Deliveries and garbage have to happen when there's nobody at the restaurant. So the board needs to deliberate what hours would be appropriate and whether it would be appropriate to permit lunchtime as well as dinner time operations. What are the potential pluses and minuses? And possibly, depending on how you feel about it, if you feel uncomfortable permitting lunch operations now, you could say that that would be something that would be permitted in the future, provided that he came back and there were no issues reported by the PD or anybody like that.
Well, right now, Mr. Mitz is saying he's not worried about lunch.
Breakfast or lunch.
That's correct, but I'm advocating for his business,
Right.
even though I'm representing you. He may not want to have lunch now, which is great,
Right.
but if he changes his mind 2 months from now and he wants to have it, what are the issues, right?
7 to 11 for deliveries?
Well, that's what I've suggested, but, you know, the restaurant operator should...
What's that?
7 to 11 for
deliveries.
That would make sense. No, because if it opens anytime, be it noon, because even on Sundays, it's noon
Right.
before you can
If
serve
you want to
liquor
go lunch,
anyway.
you want to go lunch and start at 11:30 or 12,
No, actually-
is that sufficient? Is that a half-hour window or an hour?
Well,
window?
actually, Fred, you make a point. If there was gonna be, you're right, it should be like 7 to 11:30. I agree with that, because being a liquor license, you're open up the same day at time every 7 days a week. Am I right, Paul? Because Sundays you can't really serve till after 12.
They did recently change that. They did make an exception to that rule. So you can actually do brunches on Sunday earlier than 12.
Okay, you can. Okay,
Yeah.
and
There
I
are
wasn't
some-
aware of that.
Like, you know, when the Giants or the Jets are in England,
Right.
you can open at 9:30 and serve beer. When,
How about DirecTV 20 years ago?
when the American team hockey team, I think it was 8 o'clock in the morning.
Soccer ball, yeah. Soccer,
You know,
yeah.
hockey.
Yeah, but those are special events, though.
Right.
That's not the norm.
No,
I don't have this.
So-
typically, like, you would probably open, if you're doing just dinner, you know, I would assume 4 o'clock.
Right, 3, 4 o'clock we would open, but if we went to lunch, it would be 12 probably, more than anything,
Right.
if we added
You know,
lunch.
We're 11:30, so.
Right. And what we could do is in the special permit is define that. If you do this, then the traffic for deliveries between this and this, as long as you're in the evening, but if you go to lunch, well, no more deliveries after 11 o'clock.
It's gonna be-
Yeah,
it's
you
gonna be-
have to really
It's a PDF.
button down with your salespeople and let them know, because you can say all you want, but if they have their normal ruts, it'd be hard to tell them what.
That's why I bring it up. Do you want to start it off without lunch, right?
We are gonna. I think you should. My personal.
And then give
I
him
agree.
the opportunity to come back, like he is, if he was to look for more parking, to come back and say, I'd like to do lunch. Here's how my deliveries have, you know, I never have deliveries after 11 or whatever.
You gave me
You know, he could make his case then.
And how visible would this sign, like, for example, if you know where Arrow Park is, it's going down Orange Turnpike towards Tuxedo. There's 2 entrances there.
Right.
And the main one is horrible.
Yeah, it's got
They don't allow.
the stone work around it.
Right, you can't even get in there. I've seen buses check, you know, it's horrible.
Right.
But the entrance before that is, it says deliveries
Right.
only.
Right.
How visible will these signs be on High Street where?
So there's one sign proposed on High Street. It's going to be standard DOT size, which is about 2 feet by 2.5 feet. So it's just like a speed
My
limit.
fear is a Cisco delivery misses. the
Yeah,
exit,
yeah,
And
yeah.
he goes to the one where the carport is.
Yeah.
Now his 53 he's in there. And
Yes.
he's got to get out of there somehow.
Yes,
You know, so you gotta-
that's a possibility.
Yeah, of course, especially new drivers do it, you know, but that's
Right.
why you have to really be
On your game, yes.
specific on
Yeah.
when they're pulling in,
Yeah.
knowing the times, the salespeople, make sure you relay it to your delivery drivers, and they're not always the same guys, you
You
know.
gotta have a sign on that overhang too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there has to be a sign. Well, there was one there at one point, but since it's only me,
That's it, enough.
well, actually, I didn't knock it off.
That's my only other real concern would be Can I get back to emergency services, you know, let's not say it's a fire, let's say someone passes out, it's gonna happen, someone passes out due to heat exhaustion. You're just gonna have an ambulance, you're not evacuating the place, but two people at 7 o'clock happen to be driving out, and now the ambulance is coming in. You know, that's gonna be my real concern is can these two cars duck off on the grass? God, can they do that?
Well, this is where the responsibility falls to Tim, and that's what I was gonna say. You know, you're gonna be responsible for changing those signs, the flip signs.
Right.
You're gonna be responsible for directing traffic in case of an emergency. You're gonna be responsible for that. We're gonna put that in the papers, but it's up to you. We're not gonna be there, and we're gonna be trusting you.
No, I get that, and I agree, and that's why, you know, when we were last year, you had said you were gonna speak to the fire chief again
Yes.
about things, and I assume he gave you a favorable response, that he wasn't concerned.
That's correct.
From what I just looked at now, I don't think even with the valet parking, he's gonna be concerned. You're still got an 8,000 square foot space in the back that they've maneuvered their trucks back there before. So they're gonna have no problem getting there. And if they gotta go in the inside, they won't give a shit. They're just gonna go right on the grass and go where they gotta go. They don't care, and I don't care.
But you're gonna be, what my concern is you're gonna be responsible for the people.
Well, we're gonna be responsible for people, absolutely,
Okay.
and that's why I take the responsibility for that building, as you all know, over these, it's now going on 10 years next year, and September will be 10 years since we bought it, the place. And the reality is, I take responsibility for what I do. That's why I'm standing here. I could have walked away from this years ago and all that, but I wanna see it happen.
Okay.
And now we got an opportunity to do it.
So what we need to do next is we need to see the valet parking and send it to the fire department.
Yes, that's number one.
Right.
I was going to suggest, has the board been out to the site recently?
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to say, to your point,
That's why I have a question on the swale.
you should look at it seems to me the exit driveway is the big issue. So you should look at it, see what it looks like today, see
Well,
what
we
it
need
looks like on the
permission
plan.
from Mr. Mitz to enter the
You
property.
do, yes.
Yes,
but-
you do. You have authorization to enter the property. That's one of the requirements
But,
of
you
the
know, I
package.
think-
But also remember, the line of sight, even from that back new parking lot, looking out when the trees are all gone, you're gonna have a 200-300 foot sight view to the entrance, where the exit.
Yeah.
So you're gonna
Saying when
see,
you're on
When
High
you're-
Street pulling out, I think what you're saying.
Yeah, when you get to High
that,
Street.
That was pulling out of High Street, right? You have to be able to see on either direction, but to Miss Iannucci,
Yeah.
right,
to your point, I'm coming out, right, and I see an ambulance coming and he's turning in, right? And I'm in front of the sign and the sign says yield, I see an ambulance with lights, I yield, right? What happens if I'm already on the driveway, it's 100 feet long, right? So if I'm already on the driveway and then all of a sudden the ambulance comes up, the ambulance is gonna have to wait and let me out, or I'm gonna have to back up. Either way, it's not gonna take
or,
a terrifically
or
long
what
time.
happens is there's only one tree on the left side, from the sidewalk to the exit, there's one tree on your right that's near the road. Literally, when you get past that, it's all grass and everything, so anybody can pull right on the grass and pull back
It's
and
all
let
gonna
them
be
go.
solved because you're gonna be directing traffic.
What's that?
It's all gonna be solved because you're gonna be directing traffic.
Well, yeah, in case of
Because
emergency,
if an
come right.
ambulance is coming, you know about it. If a fire truck is coming, you know about it.
We'll-
So
we'll
you're
know
out
about
there directing traffic.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get an update on, so we can send it to the fire department.
Well,
Valet parking.
I just looked at his schedule. He has a layout there. Before I send it to the site survey guy to change, just take what he gave you, including the valet parking, and use that and say, is this acceptable? Because it's, for me to spend another $1,000 to change it, let's see if it's acceptable first. I don't know if you've seen that. I'm trying to find where it is.
It's on the back, is it?
I thought it was.
So,
The digital,
in addition to taking it to the fire department, Tim should also prepare an operations management plan and an emergency management plan. Following what we've discussed here, which is in my report, that he would submit to you,
Page 7.
that would become a record document that this is how you're supposed to operate it, right? And that's not to stop him. Let's say he's up and operating and he says, this condition is ridiculous, I can make it better. He could always come back to you and say, I don't know what the other guy was thinking, we should be doing this, and you can make a change. But he should have a regular operations plan and an emergency operations plan, because this is not a standard condition, so we're trying to get ahead of it.
Right, we're gonna need to see that. But what I'm saying is, it has to be noted on here for the fire department. There's no notes on here.
Page
is there?
7 is the format that he has.
I know, but does it say anything about valet parking?
That's the additional parking and stuff.
That's how the cars would be parked if they were valeted.
Well, that's what we need to
I
have
think he wants you
explained
to point that out to him.
to the fire department.
Valet parking.
We send this to the fire department.
Yes, so somebody should just mark it up
Valet.
and just, put a, let me see if I can do it right here, right?
Page 7.
John, do you think that the fire department's gonna want just the layout, or they're gonna want the layout and the operations plan and the emergency management plan, so that they see all that
Well,
together?
I think it would be good for them to have it all together.
Yeah.
So you could just put a legend on it that says, valet park vehicle
Okay,
Right.
in red,
in red, and then that's what they are.
okay. All right, we'll do that. We'll do that.
Okay.
See, because on the tablets, it doesn't come up, and, I don't get the signs on the tablet here.
Okay.
So what I'm looking here on the tablet is totally different what you have in your hand.
Paper, it can't be.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, the layout is the first and foremost thing to send to the chief and say, is this acceptable? Everything else,
No, we have to-
manuals have to be, just gonna have to be.
No, we want to send everything, like Dave said, the emergency plan that you have.
Well,
Put
then you're gonna
together.
delay me 3 months when that's something that's gonna change content. I'm not gonna go write that to you in a month. I can't write that in a month.
You can take this
We do it
And-
too.
and just put it in an operations plan, boom, 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 emergency
Right.
operations plan, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, that could be done.
If there's an emergency,
Yeah.
this is what you're gonna do. This,
Yeah.
and daily, you'll be changing the signs for deliveries, just so that they're.
With the
they
board's
use it.
permission, I'll provide you the Word documents. All you have to do is sort of cut and paste.
Okay,
Put a
that's
header on.
fine, because I'm not expert at this stuff. I just know what I know.
Because the problem is, if you send it without that, I think that the fire chief may have more questions
Right.
and issues
Gonna delay it
potentially
more.
that plan will address.
Yeah, he probably won't,
Yeah.
because everything
Well-
he's looked at and has never been an issue, but okay.
Well, this is gonna be-
If it's okay for John to help me put that together, that's fine, because it's not my
No,
experience.
he will supply you the files, you put it together.
Right, I get that.
Yeah.
So, and correct me where I'm wrong, initially 80 seats, 54, maybe 56, because I showed where you can
Parking.
get more, if you want to show it, 56 self-parking spaces.
Right.
Valet parking, accommodate in this layout,
Valet parking whenever it goes above 54.
whenever it goes above 54, and
Valet
layout
parking.
is shown, because I ran a fire truck around it to see that it was at least maneuverable.
Right.
7 to 11 for deliveries, right? Lunch possibly at a later date, or lunch, you don't even want to do lunch right now, so
Right.
lunch possibly at a later
Breakfast
date.
and lunch, forget about, this is
Well,
dinner.
there's never going to be breakfast.
Right.
But he may want to do a lunch, and
Right.
if he's up and operating and there's no issues with the access driveway, on a Friday or Saturday evening, why would there be an issue at Sunday at lunchtime?
Breakfast in the event the board shows up for an on-site visit and Mr. Mintz makes a scrambled eggs and bacon.
Okay.
I don't think
Actually,
we
when
want to do that.
I hate to tell you, Fred, I tried that. Fred, I tried that already.
Oh.
Pam walked into the kitchen when we put this commercial kitchen in, and she looks at me and goes, I only wanted to make an egg. And she's got this big ass system like you have. She, I don't need it.
All right, so let's, my other question is, should Mr. Mitz do that traffic study, though?
Which traffic study?
Traffic study that he needs to do, as far as,
Well, that's once open operation.
That's once it's operational. That's going to be written into your approval.
so we don't have to do it prior.
Yeah, you can't do it prior.
So what am I doing now?
You're going to make an operations plan.
Right,
You're going to make an emergency operations plan.
okay,
You're going to submit them with all the materials, parking materials. Don't submit the
Oh.
traffic study, and the valet parking plan to the fire
Okay.
department. They're going to provide their opinion on it. Somebody is going to prepare a resolution of approval that will have most of this in it anyway.
right.
Your operational plan will be 7 to 11. you may apply to the board specifically to have lunch at a later date. You may apply to the board specifically to have more seats at a later date.
Okay, but the traffic study is something separate.
I don't think the fire department needs to see the traffic study. It talks about what the delay is at High Street and Lakes Road, what the delay is at High Street and Gilbert Street. They might be interested, but it's just more information for them to review, and they're going to go, oh, that's too much information. All right?
Okay, what about the, when will that traffic study be done? Because,
It's done.
okay,
It's done. It
So-
needs to be reviewed. The board got it today, so they need to review it and make sure I'm not saying anything too incendiary.
Right.
Right? I'm not off my rocker.
so the only question is when I can get that so I can add it to my pile.
Yeah. Yeah, so what you need to do, Tim, is you need to get all this put together and send it to Terry,
Okay,
and then we'll send it to the fire department.
okay. And John's gonna send me something I can cut and paste with.
Yes. Once the board authorizes me to do that, I'll send it to you.
Well, will the board authorize that now so I can get working on it?
Does the board have any problem with that?
No, we appreciate it, actually.
Yeah. Okay, so the board's fine with that.
Okay, good.
Marilyn, you good with it?
Okay.
And okay.
I do have a question. Don't hate me, people, but I want to ask him a question. And it's about the swale
Yeah.
with your water coming off. I
Me?
drove by,
Yeah.
and where your exit is quite higher than your neighbor's yard. They're gonna get water.
Well, interesting.
Unless you
Well-
have it drained into something.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to the board about next, but that's part of what Dave's working on. The Orange County report came back and said that the streamline for the water flow in their report was fine. They had no problems with it.
No. This is an advisory.
Well, advisory or not,
Local determination.
Advisory, listen, listen, we're talking about expanding beyond this at some point. I get it's advisory, but they had no problems with the layout was. So you're spending my money and it's getting ridiculous.
Spend your money.
What I offer to do is to take a 6x6 beam from the end of the swale all the way to the road to make sure it got out to the road. Wasn't sufficient. You'd rather have me spend $5,000, $6,000, $10,000.
Ask your neighbor what he would prefer you to do.
He doesn't have a problem what we do, because we work together. If that swale,
As soon as he starts flooding,
all we-
we'll have something to
then if he starts flooding, then I'll have the obligation to put in the drain in.
And then we're
No.
on the.
No, you're not on the hook.
We're on the hook for allowing.
No, this is what we wanted from you. We're not telling you to dig up your ground now and put drainage in.
And we've
We
been saying
want,
it all along.
we wanted our engineer asked for the calculations. We didn't ask for doing.
And I asked your engineer, I don't know if you saw the email, that this report he wanted, is that the same as if I went over a half acre of
No.
land?
No, it's
This
not,
is
no.
the drainage
The comment that I said was either show a connection so that you're not increasing the amount of runoff that you have going to the village street or to the neighbor's property, or have your engineer provide an analysis showing that the amount of water that's going to be going there is not substantially above what it is today. To quantify it, to determine how much of an issue it could be. We weren't asking for water quality calculations or on-site detention.
Well, maybe if you could then, so I can make a decision and leave it open-ended for the moment, is send me a description exactly what you want, so I have in writing and I can present it to the,
Just go to your engineer and say you need drainage calculations.
listen,
Driveway.
Gary, this guy wants to do a whole thing telling me $15,000.
Look,
And what you're talking about doesn't sound like a $15,000 job.
Look, the board is asking for the drainage calculations. That's what we're
Well,
asking.
send me in writing.
I'm not saying zero increase. And that's,
Right.
because that's otherwise what the New York State DEC requirements would be for a full stormwater pollution prevention plan. I'm asking for a quantifiable analysis of what the increase would be. Now, if it's going to increase the water by 30%, that could be a problem. If it's going to be 5%, maybe not a problem. But I think
Okay.
to have your engineer provide some calculations that show what that would be is reasonable.
Because you're having blacktop back there now, you have runoff, more runoff coming down, and that's all we're asking for. We want to see the calculations, so you go to your engineer and he'll do it. The engineer should know.
Well, apparently he wants $15,000 for
Well,
it.
to get another engineer.
What can I say? What can I say?
But, and what we got from Orange County Planning is an advisory, their comments, and they're just talking about replacing the trees that you take down, a 1-to-1 ratio.
That's
So,
an advisory, but you already told me I had to do that.
right, but I'm just
So
saying,
why is the advisory acceptable when it agrees with you, but the
because this is
advisory
Orange
is no
County,
good?
this is Orange County Planning, this is not the Planning Board of
I get it.
Village of Monroe.
I
So
get
we're
it.
required, or we should be sending these 239s to the Orange County Planning Department, and that's what we did.
I
And
get
this is
that.
their report. So I'm just going over the report.
And I
That,
have no problem with the report, it's just the
I don't
last
care if you
one.
have a problem or not, I'm going over it with the board,
Okay.
okay? If I'm allowed to do that?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So the trees, 14 trees are coming down, so they want to replace 1-to-1 ratio. They're advising us that that's something to look at. And I guess for soil erosion too,
Right,
so,
and that may help your cause with the runoff.
right.
You know, if you're taking trees, it's gonna cause runoff.
And they're talked about the sewer capacity for County Sewer District Number 1. So to make sure that there's enough of, I guess, enough of water for the, and sewer,
Right.
okay? And we got in our code, trees can't be taken down after, I think, October 31st or October 30th to March 31st. There's no tree cutting because of the endangered species.
It's the other way around. They can't be cut down in the summer months.
Summer months, yeah.
They can only be cleared from
In the-
November
in the
1st
fall-
until
in fall
March
into
31st.
March 31st. And, let's see what else. And we also have the the architectural historian now is gonna review this.
Yeah.
So he's on board with this, so the board knows that.
Who is?
The architectural historian?
The guy from Albany?
Yeah, Daniel, right. Lighting, we already addressed that, so that was the,
Well, lighting, I
239.
sent a new set of plans in with.
that's why I said we already
Oh, I
addressed
don't
it.
know if that was sent to the police department to re-review for any additional changes they think.
No, I don't think we had to send it back. You put it there and it's there, so.
Okay, so it's good,
So.
okay.
And anybody else, anything else?
Just that a public hearing is required at some point.
Right. Well, when does the board want to set a public hearing? Well,
I don't feel comfortable setting a public hearing until I know what's happening with the exit.
Okay. Okay, then, we want to hold off on the public hearing still? The board wants to do
I
that?
think that's wise.
Okay, so we'll have to wait. Okay. Anything else the board has? John, thank you for your help.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. And that's it.
Thank you, good to see everybody.
All right, thank you.
Good night.
So we want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second.
We have a second. And everybody aye? Aye. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Yeah.